grace and peace, everybody. We're back. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title, but you're like, Jason, hold on, Jason. You said 7 o'clock. And that's true. I did say 7 o'clock. But I got some extra stuff I got to talk about, man. And look, I can't be up past my bedtime. So I said, you know what? We're going to start a little bit early. I found some good videos I think you all would enjoy. And I also want to try out, see how this camera looks with me on it twice. Okay. That's interesting. Shout out. All right, I'm just being extra, y'all. Shout out to the best live chat on the internet. Hopefully you all had a wonderful Saturday. Happy Lord's Day Eve, if you will. Getting ready for church on tomorrow. And I just want to say shout out to everybody. Now, we have I got a full palette today. I got a full list of videos that we got to go over and talk about. Hopefully, I'm not going to say anything, but I might have a special guest stop through. If we have a guest stop through, I will stop the show and let our guests come in. So I'm just going to leave that alone for the time being. I'm just going to put it out there, float it out there, and hopefully it'll land. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime and in between time, okay, I keep going back and forth, y'all. And I know I might seem like I'm wishy-washy, flippy-floppy as it relates to Brandon Tatum. Man, I really want this guy to be solid and firm in where he stands. He did a video the other day. It's called Everybody Betrayed Charlie Kirk or something of that nature. And he's sitting down with this young lady and he's talking about his experience with Turning Point. It's the reason I'm going live now because it got my blood boiling because I'm like, I just can't take this video. I cannot take this video. And some of you have probably already seen it or maybe discussing it. Wait, Georgia's playing Texas? Oh, man. Go Dogs. Go Dogs. And UFC tonight, too? Oh, well, we got to get done. I haven't watched UFC in a long time, man. I'm really falling off from UFC. Okay. Stay focused. We must stay focused. So I'm watching this video, and, I know some of y'all have seen this. I know some of y'all have seen this video. Brandon Tatum talking about what's going on in Turning Point and such like that. And if I had not known what I know as it relates to Brandon Tatum soft pedaling with one Candaspiracy Owens, I probably would have taken this video, more seriously. But I just could not take this video seriously because I just felt like, what are we watching? It was very frustrating. I have to admit it. I was like, I gotta, you know what? I'm gonna share with y'all. So I'm gonna share my frustration with you all because this video just made no sense to me. So, well, let me take that back. Let me take this back. The video made sense. It's the fact that the ambiguity, the mystery, the air of specter that is out there, the use of they for crying out loud. Good gracious. Shout out to the theys and the theys were in the chat. So we're going to talk about this. Shout out to the best live chat on the internet. I see some great numbers up in here. Thank y'all for dropping y'all like number up in here for sure. Thank y'all so much. And then also shout out to the dogs. Go Dogs. All right. We got to get this going because we have, like I said, we got a long night planned. So let me go ahead and bring this in.
Let's get into this.
How is it that they...
All right. So Brandon Tatum sitting down with this young lady. Actually, I don't know her name. I hate that I don't know her name. But they're having an interview. They're talking about, y'all know what they're talking about. And it was frustrating. If you've seen it, or I'm sure you'll hear it as well while we're watching, if you haven't seen it already, it's just super frustrating. So let's just get it in, Jason. Let's go.
Go from attacking Israel, being obsessed with Israel. Literally, almost every show is about Israel and the Jews while we're losing America, right? Yeah. We have Mamdani and all of the craziness that is happening here. Yeah. And now it just transfers into an attack on a Christian pastor, literally.
Because the mind went back in attacking Israel. The mind went. So now the mind is susceptible for the devil to use you for his good. And so you see those people going now and attacking good people. I know Rob. I could probably text Rob right now. I didn't know Mikey as much, but I know Rob and I met Mikey a few times. I know Erica. I've met her. For somebody to say that they think that they have anything to do with Charlie's death, it's only one. Well, if you don't know them, you're ignorant. If you know them and say it, you're evil.
Yeah.
It's pure evil.
It's evil.
I went to Turning Point the other day because I do really love.
Okay, I'm just going to stop. You probably already know what made my blood pressure go up. You probably have picked it up. Why in the world is he being ambiguous? We all know who he's talking about. We all know who it is who's put Mikey in the crosshairs, who put Rob in the crosshairs, Turning Point as a whole in the crosshairs. We know who it is. Brandon, say her name. Call her out. You're saying that she's evil. You're saying that her mind is gone. You're saying that she's being used by the devil. Then just say, Candace is these things. And your heart can break that this is your friend. Your heart can be torn because, man, this is my road dog. But at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, you have to be honest. You're not being a blessing to your friend if you're not telling your friend that they're going off a cliff. You're not being kind to your friend. You're truly, I would go as far to say that you're unloving to your friend if you don't tell your friend what they're doing is troubling, is problematic, is tearing apart the body of Christ, sowing dissension, accusing the brethren, fill in the blank. Fill in the blank. But whatever it is, Brandon, you got to stand stronger than this. Let's go.
Charlie, and Charlie was my friend. And my dedication to Charlie is his legacy. That's all I care about is his legacy. So I want to take care of his wife. I want to take care of his legacy with Turning Point USA. And I want to push the things that he believed in. So I go to Turning Point, and I see Erica and I give her a big hug. I see Mikey. I see Terrell. These people are getting death threats. That people are threatening to kill them.
Why though?
Because somehow they think it had anything to do with Charlie's death.
How did that get out there? They didn't just come. They didn't just go down the they didn't just go down the clearance aisle at Walmart. Where did they get the idea that these people at Turning Point were associated with Charlie's death? Where did it come from? I need Brandon Tatum to tell us that. Where did it come from? Where? Who's the biggest purveyor of this idea? It didn't just land anywhere. It just didn't pop up out of nowhere. It came from your friend. You're going to have to say that. You're going to have to say it with your full chest. Otherwise, you're going to be like Megyn Kelly. Otherwise, you're going to look like Tucker Carlson and others that are trying to cape for Candace. And she's just running roughshod, dancing all over them because they're going to keep covering and giving her duck and cover. And you're going to end up doing the same thing. You're going to have to just say it out of your mouth. Tatum, it's Candace.
People loved Charlie. What are we saying? It's funny that some people say,
who some people?
Charlie believed this. Charlie did this. Everybody turned on Charlie. And these people were closer to Charlie than they were.
Yeah.
See, actually, the sentences that he's using don't even make sense because he keeps using these pronouns, they and these people. Say names. Name the name. The names must be named. You got to name the names, man.
These people, I would argue, loved Charlie to the day he died. They were there when he died.
And they're holding his organization together day in and day and night.
They're trying their best. He is the cash cow. He is the idea. He's the movement. He's the bread and butter of Turning Point. What are you going to do without Charlie Kirk?
You know what Mikey had been told over and over again by Charlie? If anything happens to me, the first thing you do is you call Erica. Get her on the phone immediately. Now, Erica was in Phoenix. We were in Utah. Mikey did the emergency procedure. That's what you're supposed to do. And anybody in the military or law enforcement knows what I'm talking about. Now, I was in the Navy for 8 years. You think about all this stuff before it happens. So when it happens, you don't have to think. You just do what you're supposed to do. What sense would it make for Mikey to run to Charlie when his security team, 6 guys, were already on him? Well, 4 guys were on him. There were 2 more there.
Right.
They were already, they were right there. He would have just gotten in the way.
Mm-hmm.
He knew what he had to do and he did it.
Yeah.
I'm going to shout out to Frank Turek and Allie Beth. We're going to actually watch this full video in a moment, but I just want to talk about this right here, Ruby. And I understand what you're saying. I'm not in disagreement. If let's say Ruby and I are reasonable friends, okay? We have a good relationship. Your family knows my family. Our kids play together, all that kind of good stuff like that. Maybe we all that kind of stuff, right? We're friends. We're reasonable. If I'm doing something that's unreasonable and you're like, hey, Jason, your wife told me that this is going on. Maybe you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that. And that's the reason when I say, hey, you know what? Okay, thank you, Ruby. I appreciate that. And I make the correction. That's understandable. But why is Brandon Tatum not calling out Candace? Because she's not reasonable. He knows, like I know, like everybody in the best live chat on the internet knows, she's going to end up attacking him. So he's not actually doing himself a favor. He's actually being like the battered spouse who doesn't want to call out their husband. I know he loves me. I know he just blacked my eye, but he really loves me. That's what he's doing. No, Candace is the abusive spouse, the abusive friend. That's not a friend. That's not a friend that you want. Because when the chips fall down, your whole family is going to be on the chopping block. Your whole family is going to be in the crosshairs. Look at Charlie Kirk's family right now. His whole family's in the crosshairs because of his friend. I think Brandon should call her out. I'm sorry. Is that a friend that you really want, that you have to tiptoe around? If I have an explosive behavior like that you don't want to call me out because you lose the friendship because you tell me the truth. Now, again, if you're lying on me, then that's another thing. But if you're telling me something that's true and I don't want to accept the truth, am I really a good friend? Our friendship is not only when we're, having a great time at the cookout eating chicken wings. Our friendship is really tested when you have to tell me the truth. The scriptures say faithful are the wounds of a friend. If you have to, wound me by telling me the truth, I know that those wounds are faithful. I'm sorry, Brandon Tatum I'm not saying he ain't got to do nothing I tell him to do. He's doing his own thing. I don't think that he's doing Candace Owens any favors, though. Let's go.
And, I don't have any special insight, but I assume that thing, as you said, had been rehearsed. And as you said, had been talked about. And Erica said on Fox News to Jesse Waters that Mikey called her and said, get the kids, get security. This just happened. And so if that's not what happened, are people saying that Erica is lying? Like, that would be the implication there, that she's not telling the truth. And so I really feel for him, and the implication that, he was promised to be Charlie's successor, and that's why he's speaking at Liberty University. Again, no evidence of that. Mikey's not hosting Charlie's show. I don't see like Mikey doing a bunch of interviews out there being like, I haven't seen him at a campus stop. He hasn't been on doing any of these debates. There have been a lot of us, you, me, a lot of other people who were in this circle who have been asked to go to this speaking engagement or go to this campus stop or fill in or do this interview or things like that. Not, to take anyone's place, but just because, we're trying to fill in for a friend. But I haven't seen any evidence of Mikey stepping into any realm. I've seen him continue to serve. And so again, I just don't see the proof. And I think it matters a whole lot to put someone, in the crosshairs by implying that somehow they were involved in this. That's like a really, really hefty claim to make.
Yeah, and it's causing dissension among the brothers.
These people, I would argue, love Charlie to the day he died. They were there when he died.
And they're holding his organization together day in and day and night.
They're trying their best. He is the cash cow. He is the idea. He's the movement. He's the bread and butter of Turning Point. What are you going to do without Charlie Kirk? As if they want him to die so they can take over. Erica, I love Erica. She's a wonderful woman. And that's why God matched her and Charlie together. Erica is not Charlie. It's not that easy for Erica to take over that organization from Charlie and try to continue his legacy. That's not easy to do. She can't go around the country and speak at 150 events.
She has 2 little kids, and she just had the most shocking experience of anybody's lifetime.
Can you imagine? I'm married, and obviously you're married too. Can you imagine? And I don't even want you to think about this, but if you lost your significant other that way,
okay, let me pick a fight real quick. All right, siblings. Because Brandon Tatum does say that Candace is like a sister to him. Okay, so everybody in this live chat, you have a sister. I'm just making it happen with the power of imagination. You have a sister, and you and your sister have a really good relationship. Okay, you have a really good relationship. But one day you find out that your sister is doing drugs, hard drugs, in the vein, the whole nine. And for whatever reason, some way or another, your mom and dad and the adults in your life don't know. They don't know it. But your sister is doing really hard drugs, and she drives. And she's a school bus driver. So she drives kids on the school bus, the cheese limo, in the morning and evening, and she does hard drugs. Let me ask you a question. Would you run the risk of ruining your relationship with your sister by telling your mom and dad, telling her employer, and telling the police that she's doing something that's putting other people, not only her own life in danger, but the lives of 60 kids on the yellow limousine? Would you run the risk of that? In the chat. I just want to know, make sure I'm not going crazy. Today you do have a sister. Today you actually have a sister. And you really like her. Absolutely. You would unequivocally. Oh, it's a terrible analogy? Well, thank you so much. Come up with a better one. Absolutely. I think most of us would probably go and say, Mom, Dad, sister is doing hard drugs. Employer, my sister's doing hard drugs. You would do everything to stop her, not because you don't care about her, but you realize that the ramifications of her doing hard drugs, possibly being drugged up while she's driving the school bus, is going to be terrible. So same thing here with Brandon. Saying that Candace is a sister is not a stopgap for the fact that she's doing terrible things. That's not a shield. That doesn't protect anybody. But I say, well, she's my sister. I don't want to ruin it. Heck, she's ruining other people's lives. I'm just saying, like, that doesn't work. It doesn't play out in real life.
Because had a heart attack or something, or they had chemo, going through chemo, and it was a kind of an expected end. They get assassinated on television in front of the world. My son saw Charlie get assassinated. They were sharing the videos at school. So they're seeing it all over the world. You lose your loved one like that, and people who love you or should love you and care about you or care about at least your husband should protect your heart in that moment, because they should know, if they're married, what it could possibly be if you lose somebody like that. Losing a dog hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've lost pets before, and like, I'm definitely.
Y'all do realize interventions are public. That's my thing. Like, if you go the route of intervention, which is perfectly fine, that's a public event. That's a public happening. You get a psychologist or some kind of professional, family, more than one person. So when the people that say, well, Brandon might have went to her privately, an intervention is almost by default or definition is a public event. You're at least going to get two other people, because you've already gone to her privately and she hasn't responded properly. She ain't changed one bit. Because that's the other thing you got to keep in mind. If Brandon has gone to Candace privately, nothing has changed. She's still doing what she was doing before he went to her. So what was the result?
Devastated. Losing your husband is devastating. My heart is, I'm going to protect her.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. I don't care about conspiracies, money, none of that stuff. The first thing I did was I wanted a shirt for Charlie. And then I was going to a UFC fight. And I'm like, I want to wear a shirt to represent Charlie, because that's what this is about. Not me, nobody else, it's Charlie. Yeah. And I said, and people wanted, I want that shirt, I want that shirt. I said, okay, this is what I'll do. 100% of the profits that we sell from this shirt will go to Erica. And we raise money, we're going to give it to Erica. Mm-hmm. And for people to not only bash him and his people around him, but those who are not bold enough to stand up and say something. I know people who claim that they were friends with him, Charlie. And then they have a guy come on the podcast that hated Charlie, that spoke ill will of Charlie every single day. Vile.
Who are you talking about, Brandon? You can't be talking about Tucker Carlson, can you? You cannot be talking about old Tuck and having Nick Fuentes on his podcast. You couldn't be doing that, could you? Why don't you just say their names? Brandon, no more pronouns. We need all proper pronouns from now forward. No more. Just say their names, my guy. It's okay. It is okay.
And they bring them on the show and, hey, let me talk to you about you. I'm sorry I said this to you. Marissa, you can't come on my show if you bash Charlie without being confronted by me. You're lucky to be in the same presence as me if you were to bash my friend like that. And you brought his wife up and said his wife was a plant. You can't even talk to me with saying stuff like that. I don't know what kind of cowardice friends that you have around you that will let somebody say that about your wife and let somebody say something about you crazy in your death and they don't stand up to it.
Well, it's very interesting that you bring up the term friends because the concept of friendship, right? We all have friendships behind the scenes. We all have friendships in the public sphere, but obviously we develop friendships just natural friendships as we're colleagues, essentially. How can you be a friend of Charlie Kirk's and bring on a vile person who constantly tried to destroy Charlie Kirk's organization? Yeah. You call that friendship? And I mean, I'm going to say, I don't want to say his name. Everybody is watching this, knows exactly who I'm.
No, we don't. No, we don't. Just tell us who it is. Be upfront. Be upfront. Say their names. The names must be named. I need to get that sound clip. The names must be named. Say it.
I'm talking about. But the reason we are not calling this person out, people are not calling this person out, is because we're saying, oh, he's our friend. We don't bash our friends in public. We don't bash our friends in public. Meanwhile, this friend of ours has no problem bashing our dead, murdered friend who can't stand up for himself or for his wife at this point in time. Right. It is, Brandon, it is demonic. The demon has made it into the conservative right. Yeah. And I'm all about having a big tent. But even a tent needs to have its borders. Even if a tent does not have a border, it will lose its soul. And I really worry that if we do not speak out, we're going to be swimming in a lot of vile garbage and we will lose everything we fought for.
You cannot say that you are a fan of Joseph Stalin and think that you have, there's and I'm not really a big rapper, but there's a big song out by Kendrick Lamar. They not like us.
Yeah.
They not like us. Like you saying you support Joseph Stalin and you are a Hitler fan and that you say the N-word every time you open your mouth on your shows and you bash women and you do this and you said you were effing Turning Point USA. He said it. I'm effing Turning Point USA and I've been effing it and it's Charlie's baby. Yeah. Charlie's baby, Turning Point. I'm effing it. I've taken over Turning Point. I'm gonna tear it all down. You ain't like us. We don't operate like that. Charlie don't operate like that. Why didn't Charlie interview that person? Because Charlie we don't give credence to foolery. And then you wait till he dies to interview this person. Why didn't you interview him when Charlie was alive? I wonder why. But then you bring him on to do a little, like I call it butt sniffing. Like dogs, they want to get to know each other, they sniff each other's butt. This should have been an all-out brawl. I'm telling you, Marissa, no one, I hope that anybody watching this, if you ever disrespect any of my friends to that degree and their wives after he has died, you don't even talk to me. Don't even talk to me. If I see little Hitler somewhere, don't talk to me. Stay in your lane, gangster. We ain't the same. You not like us. Don't come up to me and say, I want to be friends. Can I come on your podcast? It's not going to go well for you. I can't stand evil people. And the person who's gaslighting the living daylights out of us, who decide to interview, you know who I'm talking about, he's gaslighting us too, because he goes and says, oh, I brought him on because I wanted to. No, you gaslighting us.
Well, he'll say, oh, well, it's my right to interview whoever I want. You're right. Correct. Yeah. Correct. It's freedom of speech. Yeah. It's your right. But should you? Should you do this? Well, you talk about morality. Yeah. We talk about being a Christian. You talk about being biblical. Okay, interview whoever you want. But there is a consequence, because should you do it? Should you interview the arch nemesis of your murdered friend 2 months after he was murdered? Should you? And should we hold him accountable for doing something literally horrible, vile, and probably demonic?
Interview who you want. We're going to call you on the carpet.
You haven't called him on the carpet, though. You haven't even said his name. Say his name, Brandon Tatum. Say Tucker Carlson. Say it. Say it. Say, I mean, because please keep in mind, Tucker did not seed the idea that TPUSA was involved in Charlie Kirk's murder. That's actually Candace. She might not have started it, but she definitely pushed it way past where it could have gone. So you're not calling these people on the carpet, my friend. So this big chested, say their name and I'm gonna call you on the carpet. So you're not doing it. It sounds good. I understand. It sounds really, high bravado, but sir, you're not doing that. You can say it to the cows come home. You're just not doing it.
That's it. You can't interview and think people are going to call you out. Why do I not interview certain people? Because I'm not giving a platform to somebody who is, and the thing is this, you can stay online and say whatever you want on your own platform. Little homie can say whatever he want on whatever he want to do. And people can interview whoever they want. But brother, you interview somebody like that, we're going to come out, we're going to criticize you.
Sure.
It just like somebody come out and say, God ain't real. Like, God ain't real? I don't care if you're a Jewish or Christian. We all believe in God. God ain't real, and we're not going to criticize you. You got to be a fool. You're not a part of the movement. If you're saying God don't exist, you're not a part of this movement. Because all the things we do is in light of what God has done for us and God's, word, the word of God, the law that we have, our founding fathers, all of that is God. And when people come out and do this foolery, we don't want you to be a part of what we're doing. No, like if you think that there's a lot of momentum in this too, people are forgetting. I post a clip of the little homie. I call him little homie. I post a clip of him doing something vile. In my comment section, people are defending it. We will lose our party if we start giving credence to this. I compare it like this. Just say Adolf Hitler was around and was a big podcaster. You bring Adolf Hitler on your podcast, but don't talk about the Holocaust. Then what are you doing? You're almost trying to act like he normal. No, he ain't normal. No, he says the craziest stuff in the world. No, he hates women. He bashes women. He calls them bees and all this other stuff. That's not Christ-like for us as Christians, and that's not godly. You can't do that and then expect for people to respect you the same way. You can't have people on your podcast and you can't determine if Hamas is a terrorist organization or not. What are we saying here? You bring people on your podcast that say the Jews created AI to destroy the world. You're not going to at least push back on that. You interviewed a woman on there that says that Hamas is not a terrorist organization and that Christians are treated better in the West Bank than in Israel.
That was the George
The
Stephanopoulos' nun.
Yeah.
It's George
Yeah,
Stephanopoulos'
his sister.
who, by the way, George Stephanopoulos, after everything Trump went through with that family, that's who we're now platforming. Oh, just bring them into our tent. Our tent has no borders. When this William Buckley, you should read William Buckley because he has written about this a lot.
I heard a lot about that.
And it was a very dangerous moment for the conservative movement because America is not extremist.
Right.
America is a melting pot. That's what America is. Everybody is an intermarriage. People don't like extremism. And if we allow our friends to narrate for and launder the ideas of extremists into our movement, then all the stuff that they were accusing us of, right? This is why the New York Times is all over this. They are loving this. They are loving this because we're not talking about Mamdani. We're not talking about all of it. We're just laundering bad ideas in the name of, well, it's freedom of speech. We can talk about whatever we want. Yeah, it's your freedom of speech, but there has to be a consequence.
Look, there's a mathematical equation here, and there's a precedent that has been set. The left did this already. The left had the radical nut jobs in their party.
Yes, the squad.
Doing all this crazy stuff. We don't know what a woman is. They doing all of this, and a lot of people left them.
That's right.
This is why Trump got elected overwhelmingly like he did. This is how we've been having a House and Senate, and we've been winning on these arguments because they're so crazy. Yeah. They say they love women, but they want men to beat up women in sports. What?
It's so true. The left took in their most extremist faction and said, well, but it's getting us a lot of views. And so we're gotta bring it. Let's bring AOC to be our leader. It's amazing how evil uses the exact same formula. It's the same formula, and it's coming our way. And I mean, the thing that we have on our side is the most powerful thing, and that is God. And as long as we stick to the truth and we remember how important it is to have strength and courage, we will reject it. I mean, you're rejecting it. Charlie rejected it. We're rejecting it. And I think really that is ultimately the armor of God is to reject the lies and just stand in with the light.
100%.
How do we honor Charlie Kirk, really? How do we honor his legacy?
It is very simple. You do what he stood on. Put God first. And all the principles that Charlie had, the standards that he had, like, he kept the Sabbath. That's one thing that, you can't say you want to honor Charlie Kirk without honoring all the things that he stood for. Maybe people should go out and kind of look into what Charlie was saying.
I'm going to push back on that, Brandon. I don't think Charlie Kirk is not the standard that we should strive to be like. Again, Charlie, I have mad respect for Charlie. I believe he did great things, and there's wonderful things that we can glean from it. But he's not the standard bearer. He's not the standard bearer. Our standard bearer is Christ. And so when the smoke clears, we have to be like, what does the Lord say about the culture? What is the Lord saying about our politics or whatever it is? It's not, again, in a tacit way, a very loosely way, you can say Charlie to some degree, but really when the smoke clears, is really what does Christ say? What is the Lord calling us to do? To be faithful in these positions that we hold and these roles that we're filling. Again, I don't think Charlie's our standard bearer. And I really don't believe, if you push back on Brandon, that he truly believes that Charlie's a standard. I just think that sometimes we do need to make sure we keep man at best. The best man is a man at best. That's all we got to remember. We're still fallen individuals whom needed a savior. So I can circumvent you and go straight to the savior. I don't need to come to you and be like, I want to imitate you. I want to be like Brandon Tatum. No, I want to be like Christ. That's who I need to be like. So this is just an interesting take. I don't want him to lose it, but I think he's losing his argument.
A little bit. Me and my family has thought about the same thing. Like, maybe we should listen to what Charlie said. Maybe there's something to it. Let us dig into that. There's something about that. Jesus kept the Sabbath. Come on, like we probably should think about that. So I'm not just saying that, but like putting God first, being godly, not entertaining a lot of drama, knowing how to isolate bad ideas and elevate good ideas, having an open dialogue. Like Charlie wasn't on campus letting leftists talk stupid and then him just, okay, everything is fine. No, he challenged them.
With kindness.
But he challenged them.
Yes.
And he told them, that's wrong. That's not right. This is what God said. This is what the Constitution says. He challenged them. So in our efforts and what we're doing, don't be too cowardice to challenge people that you oppose. And I thought one thing that I will say that
hold on, wait. But, sir, you've just spent the better part of 20 minutes not calling out people that you think have bad ideas. You've just done this. I'm sorry. Brandon, I mean, again, I think there's a lot of areas where Brandon hits the ball out the park in a lot of areas. And there's a ton of areas that Brandon is just flat on his face wrong. And this is one of those examples, in my opinion, where he's just he's not a theologian. He's not a student of God's word. And it shows in the way he presents it. So yeah, shout out to Brandon, man. Shout out.
It was a peacemaker more than anything else. We have to understand this too. You may not have to blast people's names every time. I'm bad at this. I put people's name out there. But in the spirit of Charlie, you may not have to blast their names, but you can definitely challenge their ideas. Mm-hmm. And I want people to understand this. There is a difference between saying, I have a friendship with a person. I'm not going to say that person's name. And I'm also not going to challenge their ideas. That's a difference than saying, I have a friend. I love them. I love the relationship. I don't want to destroy that. I may not say their name, but I will challenge a bad idea.
Yeah.
And I see people on our side, don't know which camp they're in. You don't have to, if you don't feel comfortable saying their names or whatever it can be, that's fine. I get it. Some people have relationships with people that people don't understand. But doggone it, if a person say a lie, you should be able to challenge the lie, because at the end of the day, it's demonic.
Yeah.
It's not about the person per se, because that lie persists in everybody that's demonically influenced to do certain things. So you challenge that in the spirit of Charlie. Put God first, keep the Sabbath, read your Bible, pray, and be a peacemaker, and always challenge ideas and never be afraid. If people do that,
Wow.
the world will be a better place.
I love it. Brandon, morally disciplined, morally courageous. I love you, man. You're amazing.
Love you too. Thank you for having me.
And look, I think Brandon Tatum, I don't think he's a heretic in the respect of being a conservative. I got some theological issues with Brandon Tatum, but that's not the point of this discussion. I do think that it's interesting what he just said, like, my dude, like, call out your friend. If you're at odds with Nick Fuentes and you don't call his name out, because I don't know why, but you won't call his name out, but you're at peace allegedly with Candace, why don't you call her out? Like, you're not calling out either one of them. I don't understand. George Stephanopoulos caught a stray in here, and other people. He said the hostess's name, Marissa, more times than he said anybody else, which makes no sense to me at all. My dude, like, what are we doing here? And shout out to the best live chat on the internet. Thank y'all so much for tapping in. I know I got on a little bit early because I ran across this video and I thought it would be very helpful to have a conversation about it. So I just wanted to jump in early and talk about it. So shout out to the best live chat on the internet. Now, I do also want to point out, thank you so very much for the very kind super right there Frim X-Ring. I'm butchering that, but I want to say thank you nonetheless. He has said Tucker Carlson many times on his show. The only one he hasn't called out by name is Candace. I understand that, and he may have very well done that. I'm just saying, go and call the names out now. While you're doing it right now, while you're here, just go on and say their names. But I understand, and I'm not trying to fracture friendships and tear apart families and all that kind of stuff like that. It just seems pretty odd to me that he won't call out some of the most egregious of the party that he could. So that was the only reason I did that. Looking at something real quick. Sorry about that. There we go. Sorry about that. What I wanted to do, so the other day, and again, I got a ton of videos, and I'm actually waiting to see if a friend of ours is going to be able to jump on. I don't think they're going to be able to jump on. All right, I was trying to stall to see if they'll be able. If they come on later, wait, hold on real quick. If they're able to come on, I'll just stop and bring them on. The other day, Candace, let me make sure I say her name correctly. Shout out to the Candies. If you are in the chat, come on up here to the front of the church. We got room for y'all. She was really hand-wringing about when did TPUSA become so about faith. Remember that? And it led me down a rabbit trail of trying to find instances where Charlie was talking about his faith, about God, about Christian values, whatever. And I ran across like several really good examples of Charlie. And again, this is not an exhaustive list by any means. And I'm sure if I really dug in, I could probably find even hundreds, if not thousands of more examples of him giving advice to college students around the faith. And I'm like, why is it that Candace doesn't know this? Because she made it sound as if she didn't know Charlie was a Christian. Like, whoa, I didn't know you were a Christian. She treated it like that. So I want to bring in one of them for right now, just to give you a flavor. And I just thought this was super interesting because this is just out there, just regular old videos I found online in the YouTube space, nothing special. I thought this was fun because this young guy comes up and the Rains girl, what's her name? Melissa Rains, the swimmer. Okay, anyway, she's there. And I don't know if the dude was trying to shoot a shot with her or whatever. It just seemed really interesting the way he did it. So let me bring it in. I think this was a good one. But listen to the advice that they give.
Charlie, Riley. Thank you for having me here.
Riley.
So I have a two-part question. I want to make it quick, so if that's okay for me to ask. So just a little bit of background on myself. So I grew up, born and raised in San Francisco, and it's a very progressive city. And I attended University of Oregon, a very woke school. Go Ducks, yeah. They are a woke school, though. But I wanted to get your guys' input on how to find more like-minded conservatives in the city and maybe find a good Christian conservative girl around here. I'm stuck in here the next 2 cities with my finance job, so yeah, I'm here for a while.
What I will say is speak freely. That's how I have found my close network of friends, is just by speaking freely. And in doing that, I think you find that there are more people like you in your viewpoints than you were originally apt to believe. Even in San Francisco. Again, you might not believe it, but look at all the people who are here today to support the message.
Well, outside of this crowd, well, what's your guys' take?
Church.
That's true.
Find your future wife at church. Take your faith seriously, and there's some great churches, really good ones here in the Bay Area. There's one in San Jose, Calvary Chapel, San Jose, with Mike McClure. Does a great job.
Watch out.
And then second question I have, so how do you guys respond to the adversity of the far left being shunned, telling you that you're wrong, not allowed to have your own opinion, and having to be a closeted conservative in a very progressive city like San Francisco?
Truthfully, it doesn't bother me. All they have is to come up here and say that I look like a man. That's, again, pretty much their entire basis of their argument. It's nothing foundational. It's nothing based on logic or reason or lived experience or common sense or science. What happened to follow the science? It is always petty personal attacks. It is always name calling. That's what we do in like second grade. It just doesn't hurt my feelings. It goes one in one ear, out the other. And I think, too, being a Christian myself, being strong in my faith, knowing that I am fighting for eternal life, that is the ultimate outcome here. Nothing of this world matters. I could care less what someone wants to come up here and say I look like a man. It doesn't affect me at all.
Awesome.
Yeah.
God bless you, man. Thank you so much.
And I just thought this was interesting because if you listen to Candaspiracy, I want to say it was Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday. She made it sound like TPUSA was never about Charlie's faith, never about sharing the gospel, never about giving people advice centered around Christ-centric principles or anything of that nature. Just like, flying by the seat of their pants. When you listen to Riley, when she first started, she's talking about speak and be open, this and other. First thing Charlie did was go to church. And it was weird to me. I got one more, and then I promise we're going to get into this really good interview that Allie Beth Stuckey did with Frank Turek. A lot of you all shot me an email and said, Jason, check this out. It's super informative, so I want to give it a shot. So here's another example of Charlie addressing a young person. And this person is literally asking Charlie, what do I do about my faith? And I'm like, how did she miss this? Anybody know how did Candace miss this? Watch this.
Charlie, I just got a question regarding the drug problem within the U.S. What's like a legitimate fix to this?
Which drug problem specifically?
I think anything. Heroin. I think marijuana is being already legalized, being fine. When it comes to like fentanyl, heroin, cocaine, because the prohibition method we've been taking isn't really working out. But we can't really just let anyone.
We first need to close the southern border. That's number
course.
one. We need to have death penalty for drug dealers. That's number two. And we need to have much harsher penalties for anyone that is involved in the trafficking of drugs. And then we have to go after the actual supply, which is the Mexican drug cartels.
I think that's true, but isn't that taking like a alcohol prohibition type method where that won't
it
really
worked. Alcohol prohibition worked in one way. Alcohol usage went down.
But there was still mass gangs from
what
mafia.
was the problem with alcohol prohibition? Tell me.
The major gangs that came up during Chicago, New York.
Yeah, there was some bootlegging, but actually crime went down across the country.
Okay.
You can look at it. I'm not all for like banning alcohol, but there's a lot of lies about prohibition that are told. But also, let's just stop acting as if heroin and alcohol are on the same level. Heroin's way worse, right?
No.
Meth is way worse. Fentanyl's way worse.
Of course.
But yeah, I think we have to be more serious about what actually creates the cascade of effects of people that want to be able to use
I
these
agree.
horrific drugs.
Yeah. I just want to, like, is there like a plan we could go down to fix
Yeah, I
it
mean, I think
besides-
President Trump's doing the right thing. Secure the southern border, heavy penalties for drug traffickers, and going after the source of where all the drugs are coming from origination. So
Yeah.
thank you very much. Great question. Thank you.
Hi there, Charlie. I just want to say I've looked up to you for many years. You're the one who got me into the conservative movement about 8-9 years ago. I really love you. And out of everyone in the conservative movement, you're the one who I feel matches my moral ideals the most. One thing I just want to ask you, as a Christian woman who wants to start a family, and I look around me nowadays, especially living in California, I'm really afraid of what my child's going to be exposed to. I live with a 6-year-old, and every time she comes home, I worry that she's playing dog, she's going to pretend to be a furry someday. Or I don't know, I get scared of that stuff, honestly. What do you think is the best way to prevent our children from being influenced from those ideals and growing up with the proper Christian ideals? Even though we keep it in our household, they're still exposed to it outside.
Yeah, first of all, don't send your kids to government schools. That's number one. Number two, have a very robust church life and attend church regularly. Honor God in all that you do. And also, marry a godly man that was willing to defend your kids and to wall off all of the negative, poisonous content that might come after your future children. It's very, very important. And then finally, I don't want to say leave California, but it's getting worse around you. The cultural poisons and toxins that are out there is so dreadful. It is so heavy. So that would be my piece of advice for you.
Thank you so much.
And if you are called to be a stay-at-home mom, that's a beautiful thing. You don't have to go into the workforce to be a godly woman. In fact, I recommend being a stay-at-home mom. It's one of the most underappreciated elements of American life. Thank you.
What's up, Charlie? College.
So I just want to stop for a second. And I'm like, why? Those are some very Christianese, if you will. If I really need to be like real generic, those are some real faith-based replies. Why did Candace act like she had never heard this before? But remember, she's a Mason of TPUSA. She's a founding member. You know, she started the thing. Let her tell the story. Like, what is going on here? I just thought that was adorable, man. And I just want to finish this up, and then we'll bring in the Allie Beth Stuckey and Frank Turek.
Enrollment rate has been dropping every single year for the past few years. Education feels much less regulated, not up to date, and pretty not advanced anymore. What do you recommend if you want to get educated but don't think a college education is the best way?
It's a good question. It depends on what you want to do, right? It depends on what you want to actually,
Right.
For
example,
pursue.
sorry to interrupt, but this college here has promised to raise their tuition 35% over the next 5 years. 7%.
I mean, it's incredible. I'm going to be honest. In the next 10 years, we're not there yet. These colleges are going to be completely irrelevant.
Absolutely.
AI is going to take away 90% of the jobs, and advanced robotics is going to basically take over the world as we know it. So find something to study and be good at that AI can't do.
Thank you.
It's the best piece of advice I have for young people.
Thank you, Charlie.
Find something to be good at that AI cannot do.
Thank you.
It's a short list, by the way.
Yeah.
Because AI is getting pretty advanced, as you well know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Now I know your stance on DEI is, no DEI based on race, religion, ideology, political beliefs, which I 100% agree with. My question for you is, what are your thoughts on DEI I don't know if DEI is even the correct term, but based on context or circumstances. So I just want to use applying to college, for example. So let's say someone like J.D. Vance, who grew up in a very rough circumstance, probably went to an underfunded school, versus just another applicant who maybe went to private school, had more opportunities, had the opportunity to take higher level college courses and succeeded. So on paper, you could say that the one that took harder classes has, more merit. But would you also consider the fact that the other applicant didn't have the opportunity?
On the surface, it sounds good. So number one, this is the way they're getting around affirmative action, is they try to have these what they call context cultural scores, and they try to get around that way. The answer is no, that should have no bearing, because you need to have a system based on excellence, and if you do not, you will then discriminate against people that otherwise are very qualified to be there in those positions. It is not the goal of the institution to try to open the door to as many people as possible. It's to be the most excellent possible institution and be able to protect knowledge and pursue knowledge. That is what the goal of college should be.
But what do you think the best solution is for people that don't have those opportunities to begin with?
I mean, first and foremost, try your best to graduate high school, make the most of your life. Maybe go to two-year college or technical school. I mean, these are just general life advice. I mean, if you want to stay out of poverty, it's not hard in America, by the way. And everyone in this audience, it's not hard. It's very easy to stay out of poverty. You want to know how to stay out of poverty? Don't commit crimes. Get married before you have kids. Get a job, any job. Yeah, exactly. Get a job, any job, right? And be like not awful with money. You do those 4 things, you can stay out of what is classified as poverty in this country.
Okay, just one last.
And I want to say that you can find scripture to support each one of those examples, each one of them, each one. So even in the midst of not being, he's not giving book, chapter, verse, and context, but still, that's a wonderful advice. I'm still trying to figure out why Candace didn't hear this.
Last point, because I remember you were talking about, or at least I heard that you were talking about, that character can be a part of merit. Could you make the argument that someone has a lot of character if they do come from a harder circumstance and we're still able to
potentially
achieve?
Yeah. I mean, I think character does matter a lot. How you weigh it in admission process is very complicated, though.
I agree. Yeah.
Thank
it's
you.
Very complicated.
Appreciate it.
Shout out to Kurt. Shout out to Charlie Kirk. I just thought that was really cool. I wanted to bring that in because, again, the other day, Candace was acting like she had never heard about TPUSA faith or TP faith and whatever like that. And she was so woe is me, hand wringing, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe. And I'm like, Charlie was talking about faith all the time. And I'm sure if I had done a deeper dive, I probably could have come up with 3 or 4 hours of him talking just about faith alone in his public Discord. Why does she not know that? I'm saying it because I'm like, how did you miss this? And why are you making it sound like, oh, there's pastors around, as if that would be abnormal, being the fact that Charlie himself spoke about faith quite regularly. So before we do the Allie Beth, I do want to bring in I want to do a commercial break. I want to take a little commercial just to kind of clean the palate, give you a chance to laugh, give you a chance to get yourself another beverage, all that kind of stuff like that. So let's do a commercial break.
When you say you believe that Charlie Kirk was betrayed by someone close to him, what do you mean?
I think that last week when I was making pancakes for the kids, there was a lot of stuff in the batter. I'm not buying it. And I just want to be clear that Tyler Robinson did not. He did not do it. He's not the guy. Was not the guy.
And your basis for saying he didn't act alone is what?
I don't know. Maybe the weird Fed messages that were like concocted out of nowhere. Because how can you go off of messages? We do dreams, okay? We don't do evidence. See, you're. Do
you have any proof that the messages were made up? Because that would be easily proven.
Yeah, Discord, they don't exist.
This was supposedly text messages, not Discord messages. It's my understanding from the indictment.
Y'all always, the Discord, they said it doesn't exist.
The indictment calls them text messages.
What would it be like the feds are like on a computer, like it's, well, I look forward to seeing evidence.
We don't have evidence. That's ghetto. Evidence is ghetto.
Baby, I don't think. What is that? That's ghetto. I don't think. I know.
It would be.
We do. That's what we do. We know. If you don't know, you're probably a Zionist.
Like if I had
because all the non-Zionists, they be knowing. You don't get the dreams. You don't get the visits. That's reserved for us. Sorry. Sorry, BB. Sucks for you. You fake Christians.
There you go, y'all. I just thought we would clean the palate a little bit. Shout out to Miss Queen for that, Miss King for that. I appreciate it. Okay, let's talk about this interview. Allie Beth and Frank Turek. A lot of you all, again, sent me an email, said, Jason, check this video out. I checked it out. I said, you know what? I think we need to do it. So we're going to bring in Allie Beth, Frank Turek. Going to have a good conversation. Please, if you don't mind, green hearts in the chat. Let me know that you're hanging in there with me. I appreciate you tapping in with us tonight. I know I got started a little bit early, but I know it was well worth it to check these videos out with you all. So thank you so much for that. What did I see in here? Oh, by the way, that most recent one, I dropped the link for it right here if you wanted to grab a hold of it or check it out yourself. And I'll also make sure all the videos are down in the description. What do we have here? Lots of good commentary in the chat. Looks like y'all liked it. Shout out for the green hearts in the chat. Thank y'all so much. Let's get this party rolling. Let's go.
Apologist Dr. Frank Turek went into the Lion's Den at UC Berkeley a few days ago, and the backlash from agitators there was just insane. He is telling us what really went down. What was it like to share the gospel in that kind of environment? We are also going to be getting into what he thinks about Candace Owens's theories about Charlie Kirk's murder. We've got all that and so much more on today's episode of Relatable. It's brought to you by our friends at Good Ranchers. Go to goodranchers.com for American meat delivered right to your front door. Use code Allie for a discount at checkout. That's goodranchers.com, code Allie.
All right, so Allie Beth already is getting kudos, already getting points right off the bat from the opening monologue because she called out Candace from the word go. In the first 10 seconds.
Dr. Frank Turek, thanks so much for taking the time to join us. All right, I want to talk about UC Berkeley. Can you just, before we get into the specifics, take us through the whole night being asked to speak there, what you spoke about, and how it went?
Yeah, well, Charlie Kirk and I were scheduled to go there from the summer. I said, Charlie, if there's one campus I want to go and be with you on, it would be Berkeley. And he said, well, let's do it. So it was scheduled for November 10th. And of course, we all know what happened 2 months prior. So I thought the whole thing would be called off, but the team called me and said, we're still going to Berkeley. You know, Erica said the show must go on, to her credit. So we decided that we're going to Berkeley, and Rob Schneider, the actor comedian, was going to join me. And so we planned the whole thing out, and it was scheduled at Berkeley, and the police knew about it. The university knew about it. And when we talk about what happened that night, you'll see that there's going to be probably a lawsuit coming from the Department of Justice because Berkeley did not hold up their end of the deal. It appears anyway.
Okay, I spoke at UC Berkeley in 2018, which was really not a saner time than it is now. And it was a lot more contained than what you did. I spoke to a large classroom, and I gave what I thought was a very neutral speech, actually, because I went in knowing that it was the Lion's Den, but it was right in the middle of the Kavanaugh saga. And I was one of the main voices kind of sticking up for Kavanaugh, that it's not right to just accuse a man based on basically nothing and to try to ruin his life based on that. And it was the craziest, still to this day, it was the craziest experience at a college campus that I had ever had. There were students standing up in the middle of my speech, screaming, yelling. I was actually taken aback. I mean, I'm a Texas girl, and so I guess I just thought surely it's not going to be that insane. It was insane. And that was 7 years ago. And you saw way more vitriol than I saw. So tell me what went down.
Well, we call it UC Berkeley for a reason, Allie. We had actually gotten into the venue early, and so we were in the venue when most of the damage was happening. And Antifa was there. Obviously, they were hurling insults and slurs at the people trying to get in. They set off fireworks, which sounded like gunfire, so people were scrambling. You've seen some of the video already. And at one point, some of the TPUSA staff went out there just to try and usher more people into the venue. And security, TPUSA security said, hey, get back in the building because it's too dangerous out here. So the venue held at least 2,000 people. It's a beautiful theater, and they had 2 balconies that, as I say, the whole venue would hold, depending upon how they format it, up to 2,400. I think there were at least 2,000 seats in there, and only between 900 and 1,000 were filled because the university decided not to let certain people in who didn't have their official ticket which is a whole nother thing. They had to use the university ticketing system. And so what happened was, and many leftists went on, got the free tickets, and then said they weren't going to use them, or didn't tell people they weren't going to use them, but they wanted to have the venue be empty. So 900 to 1,000 people courageously got in. The doors opened at, let's see, I was in there. The doors opened at 5 o'clock for a 6:30 start. And so a number of people got in there, but the university police did not keep the walkway free to allow people to get in. So people were spat on, people were harassed.
Man.
And they were not only harassed getting in, Allie, they were harassed getting out.
Wow.
After the whole event was over. So the event ended, I want to say it was like 8:45. So we started about, I'd say 20 minutes late. And so the whole event went about 2 hours.
Yeah.
And Antifa was out there the whole time. It's not a large group of people, just a very disruptive group of people. And not all of them were students, Allie. I would say that from the reports that I got, because I wasn't actually out on the sidewalk, most of these people were adults. Most of these people were probably George Soros funded, liberal agitators.
Wow.
And Harmeet Dillon, who is in the Department of Justice and is the top civil rights attorney in the country, or
Right.
civil rights law enforcement person, has already sent Berkeley a 2-page letter that they need to retain all the records, because there's probably going to be a civil rights lawsuit brought against Berkeley, which, by the way, gets, I've heard, hundreds of millions, if not $1 billion a year in funding from the United States government.
Wow.
So there are laws that say you have to grant equal access. You can't allow a heckler's veto to go forward. You experience a heckler's veto. In other words, that people were actually in the venue trying to shout you down.
Right.
None of the people that were well, I can't say that because the first questioner was claimed to be part of Antifa, but he was polite. Nobody in the venue shouted anyone down.
Yeah.
They were predominantly Charlie Kirk and TPUSA and supporters and Christians, but people outside the venue did everything they could to prevent people from getting in.
All right. I think it's a commercial.
Quick pause to tell you about our first sponsor for the day, and that is Crowd Health. Okay, if you want to.
Okay, so I'm gonna let her tease that out while we jump in. Thank y'all so much to everybody who's jumped into the best live chat on the internet. I appreciate y'all. Somebody said that they live there. I don't live far from the Bay Area, and Berkeley wants to have protests, everything. That's kind of wild. I can imagine that, though. I can kind of imagine it's probably bonkers living there for sure. All right. So I wanted to, the question was, would I review Allie Beth and Frank Turek? I enjoy hearing Frank. I think he has a great mind. He has some excellent things to say. So I'm always interested in hearing what's going on with him. So shout out to Frank for sure. And that's what we're going to be doing. Let's see. I think they're back. Let's see. Oh, she's back.
Everything up. Of course, you join the crowded group of members who, just like you, want to help pay for each other's unexpected medical
All right, this
events.
Is a little bit of, she's still doing her ad read. So I'm on Crowd Health. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. What do we have here? Asking for receipts is respecting everyone's critical thinking skills. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I think Frank was a huge influence, but let's keep it going. They're back. Let's go.
We have lots of video that has been playing or will be playing as you're describing all of this, but there's one video I just want people to see the cruelty of some of these demonstrators. Stop for.
You're dead, homie. 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 You're dead, homie.
Drown fascism in a sea of resistance. Revolutionary Student Organization. Okay.
Okay, so for people who can't understand, they're saying F, you're dead, homie. So talking about Charlie Kirk, so cursing Charlie Kirk and celebrating his death, and they're talking about fascism. They've got the communist symbol, the hammer and the sickle. And then, of course, there's all this footage of them being actually violent. I know Chloe Cole was there. She is a detransitioner and just like a wonderful advocate for biological reality. She was in attendance and she asked one of the police officers, hey, like, can you escort me out of this crowd and out of the car? And the police officer just rolled her eyes at her and said, you'll be fine. And apparently the police officers, I just heard from anecdotes, they really were not interested in helping Turning Point and helping you guys, and kind of just said, it's free speech. These people can do what they want. It's like they didn't want to prevent violence.
I think that's probably what's going to happen when we get to the court case. People are going to realize that's exactly right. Isn't it ironic, Allie, that these people who say they're fighting for inclusion, tolerance, and diversity will not include you and will not tolerate you for holding a diverse view.
Right.
And they claim that we are the fascists when, Allie, I mean, if irony could kill, they'd be dead already.
Yeah.
Okay? Because they're the ones that are the fascists using force to try and shut up people that disagree with them, and using force to beat up people who are for free speech. I mean, they always call Charlie Kirk a fascist. Yeah, we all know that a fascist tactic is to tell your opponent to come to the front of the line. Let me give you the microphone so you can freely make your case. That's what fascists do, Allie, of course.
Yeah, fascists definitely want a limited government and want the people to have the right to keep and bear arms and love free speech and love freedom of religious expression. That's a telltale sign of fascism.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay,
and
go
I
ahead.
think so much of it is demonically influenced. We're fighting against principalities and powers that are supernatural in nature. And some of these people, I mean, I'm sure people have already seen the gentleman who was beaten up wearing the red freedom shirt, because it turns out, it appears now that the guy who did that, I mean, you can't make this stuff up, Allie. The guy's first name is Jihad. Okay, you can't make this up. And he goes to a mosque apparently in Oakland.
Yeah.
And he was trying to hide his face. He's some kind of rapper. He's got some odd name, but his first name is Jihad. I don't have it in front of me. And he was arrested. And so was the guy he beat up.
Yeah.
The guy he beat up was let go. He was arrested. And of course, he's already out on bail, right?
Of course.
And so Jihad tried to pull the cross off this gentleman's neck who was wearing the Red Freedom t-shirt, and a fight ensued. And they both were arrested, but of course, he's already out on bail. By the way, meanwhile, that day, just before the event, I had lunch with a friend of mine who is a pro-life sidewalk counselor. His name is Don Blythe, great guy. He's out in Modesto. He came to San Francisco to have lunch with me, and he was arrested on San Jose State's campus not long ago, even though it was an illegal arrest. And he told me this, I haven't checked this out myself, but he said, in San Jose now, you're supposed to book yourself. You have to book yourself. Yeah, I know.
How does that work?
It's crazy out there. And can we talk about the purpose of government for a minute?
Yes. You know what? We're going to get into that because I saw that your article in Fox News, but can I ask you, well, a couple things. I want to ask you another theological question, and then we can get into the purpose of government and capital punishment. But I do want to play this clip of you from UC Berkeley sharing the gospel.
So God gives us free choice. The problem is we can use our free choice to do evil like the shooter did. But can any good come from that? The Bible talks a lot about this. We don't have time to get into all the details. But the Bible talks about the fact that testing produces patience, and patience produces character, and tribulation leads to hope. And it says all things work together for good to those that love God and are called according to his purpose to be conformed to the image of his Son. Doesn't say all things are good. There's a lot of evil things out there, but according to God, good things can come from evil, especially to people who are called according to his purpose. And one of the ways that you become more like Jesus is through evil. Man, if you get everything you want every time, you don't become like Jesus, you become a me monster.
What was the response in the room when you were sharing this biblical truth?
The response was very positive. The people that got in were courageous supporters of TPUSA. I suspect most of them are Christians, but I wasn't sure. So I wanted to make sure I gave them Charlie's number one message, my number one message, your number one message, the Bible's number one message. And that is, we're all sinners. We all need a savior. We can't save ourselves. That there's only two things you're going to get in the afterlife. You're either going to get justice or you're going to get grace. And I don't want justice from an infinite being. Neither do you, neither does anybody watching, neither did anybody at UC Berkeley. And the only way we can avoid infinite justice is the God of infinite grace, who takes justice upon himself, takes our punishment upon himself. And then by trusting in him, we're not only forgiven, but given his righteousness. Amen. So that's the only message I wanted to get across at the memorial. That's the only real message I wanted to get across to the folks there at UC Berkeley, other than the question of if God, why evil? We dealt with that in my 20-minute talk as well.
Yeah, that's so good. I'm so glad that you're doing that series right now. And then the other question that I had, and maybe this will lead us into the purpose of the government, something that I note in all of these, Antifa protesters, which Charlie talked about so much before he died, from what I understand, even privately to people in the government saying, look, we got to break up these left-wing terror cells. They're serious, they're inflicting violence. And that was something that he pushed hard for, that those of us who care about his legacy should also be focusing on that, especially those with the power to do it in the government. But what is it about communism? I see this hammer and sickle. I see these people who say they want equality, they want peace, they want everyone to be taken care of, and they say they're fighting against poverty. Why always, every single time you see those mantras and those symbols, do you see such violence and ugliness and godlessness? Like, why do those things go hand in hand?
It's interesting, Allie. Our mutual friend, James Lindsay, is a agnostic atheist. And about a year before Charlie died, he texted Charlie and he said, Charlie, I'm starting to believe in Satan because I'm looking at the history of communism in the 20th century. Where communist governments killed probably 100 million of their own people, communist governments. And so Charlie texted him back, if Satan, then God. And James texted back, that would follow. In other words, it's the point that if there's evil, there has to be good, because evil's not a thing in itself. It's a lack in a good thing. It's like cancer. If you take all the cancer out of a good body, you got a better body. But what happens if you take all the body out of the cancer?
Yeah.
You got nothing, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't exist on its own. And I say that because the history of communism is so poor that only an intellectual could defend it. Okay, I think Thomas Sowell said that. Communism and atheism go hand in hand. Why? Well, because in atheism and communism, the state is eternal and the individual is expendable. The individual is not eternal. In Christianity, the state is not eternal. The individual is. And so we have to have protections for the individual against a despotic government. That's what our Bill of Rights is all about.
All right. I can get with you.
Next.
Frank, I'm with you, Frank, for sure. And I want to say thank y'all to everybody who's jumped into the best live chat on the internet. We're watching Allie Beth Stuckey on her show interview Dr. Frank Turek, who is instrumental in Charlie Kirk's life. He's a regular speaker at TPUSA and such like that. So we wanted some people to ask. I said we would watch it and get some feedback. So please let me know what y'all think about it so far. I really do appreciate it. I was born in Soviet Russia, and it's very dark times during communist rule. Shout out to you, Ira Erdurska. I apologize for if butchering that, but I'm Southern, so have mercy on me. Absolutely. Communism 101, turn them from God and to the state. There we go. Shout out to you, Jalen. I appreciate it. Very keen observation. Thank you to everybody. And by the way, I'm also trying out the dual stream option, so you can see this stream in vertical format or horizontal. Let me know what you think about it, especially if you're on the vertical side, watching on your phone, or if you're in horizontal, watching on your TV or a monitor. I just want to know what y'all think about it. So, but be kind, be kind. I'm just trying it out. I'm just trying it out as an option. Don't beat your boy up. Don't beat me up. All right. What do we have here? They are back in a second. Hold on. I think they're back. Allie's done. Let's get her back in here. Let's go. All right. Let's see what they got.
That is what Paul talks about in Romans chapter 13. And of course, it's mentioned also in Genesis chapter 9. If we had no government, wrongdoers would run rampant, just like they did almost rampant at UC Berkeley. We need a force to protect innocent people from evil and to punish wrongdoers. And when governments cease to do that, they cease to become legitimate governments. That's why our founders in the Declaration of Independence listed a long list of abuses that King George had committed against them. And so they said, if the government won't secure our rights, we have a right to a new government. And the real founder of our Constitution was James Madison, who said, if men were angels, no government would be necessary. I mean, if you think about the fact that human beings are not angels, but if we were, would we need a government? We wouldn't need a government at all. We'd always treat people well. There's no reason to have an outside force prevent evil, because nobody would be doing evil and there'd be no wrongdoing to be punished. But since we are fallen and we do need a savior, we need a government to protect innocent people from evil. And this is where your book, Toxic Empathy, is so important, because people think one-sidedly, and you will explain it better than me. So I want you to take it from here, Allie, because you explain the fact that people don't see both sides of an issue and they wind up supporting the criminal rather than the victim. Can you unpack that for us?
Sure. Yes. The media does this very well, and there are so many examples of this. But in my book, I go through the 5 subjects where we see the media use empathy by hoisting up a particular victim to get you to draw the progressive conclusion about something. For example, when it comes to abortion, NPR told this terrible story of this woman named Samantha who was pregnant, and she found out at 20 weeks that her baby had this fatal fetal anomaly, wouldn't live long after birth. And so how NPR tells this story is that, to her horror, she found out that in the state of Texas, she couldn't get an abortion. That's what she wanted. And so she was forced to carry this pregnancy. She was forced to bear the financial burden of delivery and bearing her child. She was forced to go through this emotional distress because she wasn't given a choice because of this cruel, draconian Texas law. So it's all told from the perspective of the mother as the victim in this situation. Never are we told what an abortion entails. Never are we told about this child, that she got to be delivered, that she got to be held, that she got to be named, that she got to be kissed and loved and cared for and then buried like the human being that she is. They don't talk about what would have happened if abortion had been allowed. She would have been poisoned, dismembered, thrown away like toxic waste. It was all from the perspective of the pain of the mother who was forced to carry this child to term. So at the end of it, you see all the comments on Instagram on this particular post too. Everyone's incensed. Everyone feels so deeply for this mother. Everyone feels so much empathy for this mother that they draw the conclusion that NPR and Washington Post and all of these outlets want them to draw, which is these pro-life laws are cruel. Because look at the pain that it causes. This is true when they tell stories about an illegal alien, when they tell the story about the man who feels he was caught and trapped in the wrong body, when they talk about, oh, this person just wants to love who they want to love, or, oh, this criminal had such a hard upbringing. When you focus on their stories, you forget that, okay, well, if I support the policy that this outlet wants me to support, well, then babies die. Then women and girls don't get private spaces. Then children don't have both a mom and a dad. And then there are a bunch of victims of this person being let out of jail. In economics, that's called the second order effect. People don't think about the second order effect of their first decision. And when you're powered by empathy to make a decision, you are blinded to the victim on the other side of the moral equation.
Especially when that victim is never brought up.
Right.
Or the victim is told that victim, particularly in the pro-life issue, isn't really a person.
Right.
So that's so well said. And I know your listeners, if they haven't gotten toxic empathy yet, they need to get it. Because this is the problem. In fact, I was just looking at a Twitter feed. Elon Musk put this out today, Ali. Someone asked the question, what is the greatest problem facing humanity? And he said, it's interesting to read all the responses in the Twitter feed, but one of them that popped up was from Glad, I think his name is.
Sad, I think.
Yeah, he's a professor up in Canada, and he calls it suicidal empathy.
Right.
Which is similar to, toxic empathy, that people just can't think about both sides of an issue. They get on one side and they advocate for that one side, not realizing the victims on the other side are there, and they're been propagandized to think they're thinking the right way about an issue, when in fact they're thinking exactly the wrong way about an issue.
Yeah.
And it's so important. And the whole immigration thing is a big example of this.
Yeah.
They'll have some sob story about an immigrant, and you'll go, well, we're supposed to bring in the immigrant, of course. Yes, okay. But then they'll use that sob story, and they will not talk about the 300,000 girls that have been sex trafficked, probably.
Right.
They're missing in our country right now during the Biden administration. They will not talk about the 100,000 people who have died from fentanyl overdoses. They will not talk about the terrorists that came across the border. They will not talk about all of the bad things that have occurred from having an open border. They won't talk about the fact that housing prices are up because there's such a demand for housing now with more immigrants, or that wages are suppressed because there are more immigrants, illegal immigrants. They will not talk about the cost to the taxpayer on law enforcement, nor will they talk about all the money that is going to illegal aliens that is putting us further in debt. Nor will they talk about the fact that part of the shutdown, which has brought pain to a lot of people, was brought forth by Democrats in order to get illegal aliens health care. They won't talk about any of this because they have this toxic empathy on one side. And I always tell people, look, you believe in borders. Do you have a lock on your door?
Right.
Do you have a password on your bank account? Why don't you just give anybody the password to your bank account? How come you haven't done that? It's not because you hate people on the outside. It's because you love people on the inside, and you have a responsibility to take care of your family. As Paul said, if you don't take care of your family, you're worse than an unbeliever. And I love, sorry, I'm rambling here. I'm filibustering now.
No.
But I love what Vice President Vance said over in Europe back in February. He started talking about Augustine's Order of Love. Do you remember that, Allie?
Yes, I do.
I mean, that was, any politician that talks about Augustine's Order of Loves gets my vote.
Yes, and that was, people were scandalized, or else they acted scandalized about that. And I just, it's kind of like what you were saying. They want to argue against it because in their minds, or they could say, that lacks empathy. How could you say that we're not supposed to love these other people? But of course, that's how they order their own lives. No one can love everyone equally. It's impossible for us to do that. And we weren't meant to. I mean, God is a God of order. He actually created these systems for us to have order to our lives. He placed us not in a jungle. He placed us in a garden and told us to work and to keep it. From the very beginning, there's a systematized way of doing things that God does, not for his sake, but for our good, because we are orderly beings made in his image. And families and countries and laws and governments and punishments and rewards are all part of that. That people, they're gifts of common grace that people need to survive and thrive. And people get that, as you said, on the micro level, because they all order their lives that way. They love their kids more. They feed their kids more. They don't let anyone into their house to steal their food. That doesn't make them a loving neighbor. That makes them a bad parent. But when it comes to politics, when it comes to just zooming out a little bit, they don't apply the same standard that they apply to their own lives, and they call us bigots for doing so. And yeah, it can be really hard to rationalize with that.
Well, you can't rationalize with the irrational. In fact, we were talking backstage, me, Rob Schneider, Peter Boghossian was there. That was a surprise to me. I don't know if you know Peter, but he's an atheist, but he is trying to save Western civilization because he realizes that the woke left is aligned with the militant Islam faction. And those two forces together will destroy Western civilization. And so we were talking about the fact that some people think that you can reason with people that don't want to be reasoned with.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus himself said, don't cast your pearls before swine or else they'll trample you to death.
Yeah.
Rob Schneider was on Fox and Friends talking about this after the event. I was on before the event. And Rob was saying that the people inside the arena, some of them didn't agree with us, but we had civil conversations. And that's how you have a democracy or a republic, which what we have, a representative republic. You exchange ideas and you have free speech.
There you go.
The folks on the outside, Antifa and all the protesters, they didn't want to have free speech. They didn't want to have a debate. They wanted to cancel the debate. And so it's not hard to see who is for civilization and who is against it. And let me say one other thing, because I want to make sure we're not guilty of what the left does. I'm not saying everybody that has leftist views isn't for free speech. We need to treat people as individuals. You can have leftist views and be wrong about certain things and right about other things. And I'm not going to say that everybody on the left agrees with Antifa. That's not the case. However, when we look at the surveys and when we look at the actual facts on the ground at these sites, Allie, the surveys show that political violence is predominantly coming from the left. A third of college students think it's okay to use violence against people who are uttering things you don't agree with, where only 3% of very conservative people think that. A quarter to a third of very liberal students think, oh, no, that's just fine.
And I mean, we did just see in the state of Virginia that Jay Jones, who...
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'm going to do a station break. I don't do this often. I don't usually stop because, Frank Turk was cooking. Let's give Frank kudos. If y'all could do me a favor, can y'all just drop some green hearts in the chat? I'm telling y'all, if you drop the green hearts in the chat, I think you'll be very pleased that you had done so. Drop some green hearts in the chat. I told you earlier that it's very possible I might have a special guest pop through, and go ahead and fill it up. I need it filled up with green. Don't stop. Get it. I need them green hearts. Come on. So I told y'all earlier I might have a special guest come through. And somehow or another, by the power of prayer, I done got somebody to get up out of their pajamas. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, April Chapman is in the building. How are you?
What's up, Pimpin'? I literally did get up out of bed out of my pajamas.
I know. Hey. I was over here praying like, Lord, let her get up out the bed. Let her take the bonnet off. Come on, did you take the slides off? You still got your slides on?
I don't wear slides and I don't wear a bonnet. I wear a scarf.
A scarf.
And I had my Christmas pajamas on. And I was roughing it. I was looking rough. And I said, I'm gonna do it for the homie.
Let me tell you, I deeply appreciate it. Shout out. If you all don't know, this is my very good friend, co-content creator, April Chapman from, you know what? I'm doing a horrible job. Why don't you tell us who you are? Even though it looks like they love you, they get the green hearts to match your green ensemble. See what I did there?
I was about to say, and I wore green. I wore green on purpose. Grace and peace, you guys. No, I am April Chapman from Unshakable with April. I'm like an OG fan of the channel. I just haven't been over here in a while.
That's okay. We always leave the porch light on for you.
Leave the light on.
We always leave the light on for you. Good to see you.
Yeah, what people don't know, they may or may not know, I actually started my podcast because you pushed me out the nest and said,
Praise God.
I need to start a podcast. So yeah,
Well,
before
there we go.
I was unshakable, I was the Standard of Truth podcast.
And before all of that, you were still April Chapman. And I'm glad to have you. Thank you so much. All right. April, everybody. Oh, Jason, did you see April's video? Did you see April's video? I said, you know what? I'm gonna do something better for you. And I was like, man, hopefully April come on and talk about your most recent video about how the devil is using one Candace Owens. I didn't. Lord, she had to take a deep breath. Lord have mercy.
Stretch out your hand and pray. Stretch out your hand
Hold
and
on,
pray.
let me get the Hammond B3 ready for you. Hold on one second now.
You got a Hammond for real? Oh, God. Yeah.
All right, we had to get the Hammond. Oh, can't repeat it though. Okay.
Yeah. I need that sound. I
got you.
is the flag on the play, the applause, and the crickets. That's all I have.
Hold on. I got the. So you have the flag on the play?
I do.
All right, you have the cricket. Okay, I got you, homie.
I don't have a Hammond B3. I was trying to find someone who could get me that.
Oh, I got you. I mean, because at the current moment,
I have nothing.
Don't get me started. I will be all off task. I will be all off. All right, man. So okay. In honor of talking about Candace.
Yeah. You don't get to ask those questions. What's wrong with you, Mom? Why are you so scared?
That is creepy.
She did that, but she did that though. She did that. I don't know who added the little sound effects to it and the color change. I don't know who that person was. I don't know who that is. Anyway, all right. So what I wanted to hear was, if you don't mind, help us, for those persons that maybe didn't see your video, and I'll make sure that we drop the link down in the description. I know the mods have already done so. Give me your overall take. What's going on with Candace, TPUSA Faith, and the such like that?
Well, so I'll first start with Turning Point, the organization.
That's fair.
I've had a special place in my heart for Turning Point for a very, very long time. And I came late on the scene. Mm-hmm. And it's weird because somebody that I've known probably since 2014, we reconnected on a project that I was working on. I was working on race war with my client, Vince Everett Ellison. And what people don't know is Race War is a TPUSA production.
Gotcha.
And I was at, I think it was the Pastor Summit I'm losing track of when it was. But I see this guy who he's doing interviews of different people at the conference. And I'm looking at him like he looks really, really familiar. And he wanted to interview Vince. And we're talking and I'm like, I know you. He's like, I know you. And we found out that we were involved in a mutual, we used to sling theological mud on Facebook way back in the day.
Gotcha.
And so he and I reconnected and come to find out, he's a Reformed Baptist. I'm a Reformed Baptist. So we have this kinship and we're catching up and we start talking about all the things that the Lord is doing behind the scenes at TPUSA. He was like, I have been steadily working here and I am personally discipling people. People are coming to Christ. We do Bible study. So many people have been baptized. They're finding biblically sound churches. He's telling me all of these good things that he has been directly impacting just in his personal capacity and then as an employee. And so a lot of the drilling down on faith that you saw TPUSA starting, they obviously, yes, they were very political, but they became a lot more faith-based as time went on. And Charlie was talking more about his faith, and it had a lot to do with what the Lord was doing behind the scenes.
Gotcha.
So I did a video the other day to try to help people make sense of it may seem benign for Candace to just be like, I was talking with some people and I just thought it was weird that, TPUSA is leaning into faith, and pastor, and this infiltration of all of these pastors. And basically in my video, I talked about the reason why she can speak about the faith that Charlie clinged to with so much contempt and hatred in her heart is because Candace is dead in her sin and her trespasses. She has religion. And when I say that, meaning you can adopt a set of beliefs and dogma and convert to a religious tradition, but that is not the same as what you and I would understand is being born again, right? Being born from above, a work of the Spirit. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Let me jump in because I want to ask you, do you agree?
Right.
I argue that conservatism is really basic common sense.
Yes.
A man can only be a man. A little boy will always be a little boy until he becomes a grown man. Same thing with a little girl will always be a little girl. There's some very common sense things. So really conservatism really is just basic common sense. You don't have to be a Christian to subscribe to conservative principles.
Right. Because it's what you're conserving. You're conserving the Constitution.
And common sense.
And common sense.
I think, right. And I think in a lot of people who are conservative have kind of embraced the idea of conservatism. I got conservatism. Oh, April is a conservative and she's a Christian. There you go. I'm a Christian. Because I hold these same values.
They make that leap as if they make that leap synonymous.
Right, because I don't curse. I don't believe in, stepping out on my wife. I believe in paying my taxes. Conservative things. So therefore, their Christianity is really conservatism. And I'm not saying that being a conservative is bad. What I am saying is that it's not the same.
Right. It's a Christless conservatism.
Christless conservatism. Right. And so when I hear this type of stuff from Candace, and earlier I was playing some clips of Charlie talking on college campuses. I'm like, how did she miss the Christ stuff when he literally was like, somebody said, how can I find a good girl? The first thing he said was go to church. Like literally, in all these examples, he's talking about Christ, God, the Bible, and so forth.
Faith-based things.
Right. And I'm like, I think the problem is that Candace was never, first of all, she isn't born again. She isn't regenerate. So therefore, those kind of things are an affront to her because she sounds kind of mad. She's spitting about pastors. She's spitting out about Christians and such like that. And you're infiltrating society. Right. I thought that's what we were doing. We're standing against culture.
Notice the people she's coming against. So I happen to have the pleasure of being subscribed to her email list. And I looked at an email that came in today, and I thought it was interesting that she says the subject line was, why are they crashing out over my investigation? But she's talking, she names Allie Beth Stuckey by name. She's like, pastors controlling people for political purposes. And we can have a conversation about all of that because
for sure.
That obviously happens. But of all the people, of all the things to have contention with, why is it faith and pastors, Allie Beth, people who Frank Turek, Rob McCoy, Mikey. These are all people who claim the name of Christ, who profess the Lord Jesus. Allie is very solid.
Absolutely.
Frank Turek, we might have some disagreements on some tertiary things, but for the most part, he's a faithful Christian apologist. Why? Of all the things you care about, Charlie, you care about this investigation. What does any of this have to do with the price of tea in China? Nothing, because it's a distraction. Because this is what narcissists do.
Right.
She has experienced a narcissistic injury, and the lashing out that you see is the venom that has been stored up in her veins for a really long time, and she's not going to stop. She's not going to stop. She's going to keep going.
Oh, no, that's 100%. Like, for example, just something I thought about. I don't know. I hate to say this. I watch her show every day because we do a watch party. Candace's show. I do a watch party.
You do?
I do a watch party every day. I know. I do it for the people though. We do a watch party. And there was a day where she really got in on the fact that Mikey's name, Mikey. And I'm like, yeah, it does kind of sound a little childish. I got you. But it's a name that they've picked up. But then it hit me today, literally. I said, you do realize that Charlie is the exact same thing. I'm like, his real name is Charles.
It's the juvenile alliteration of Charles. Right. Mikey, Mike, Charlie, Charles.
Right. And like, why are y'all okay with Charlie, but Mikey is suspect and now you got to go to jail because he had his hands near his ear? Like, wait, Charlie's the exact same thing. Like, stop.
Narcissists are inconsistent. The standards that they lay out and set for everybody else do not apply to them.
Never.
And when they experience a narcissistic injury that is so deep, nobody is safe. Nobody is safe. So the only people who are safe from her wrath are those that agree with her, but let her audience start asking questions like she does and pushing back.
Yeah.
Now they're no longer allies. They are betrayers.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I mean, something simple as, again, I think Allie Beth, you and I agree, Allie Beth was extremely gracious, extremely biblical in her retort and her correction. But what did she say? Yeah, she's a fake Christian. Well, ma'am, how about you tell us what a real Christian is? How about those
I was unaware of that. She called Allie Beth a fake Christian.
Don't you make me pull up the Twitter. Don't you look, you're gonna make me go get the Twitter.
And y'all know how I feel about my girl Allie. I don't.
Oh.
Girl, I got to come for you.
Oh no, I'm about to pull it up right now.
Oh, I don't watch her show like that because I am trying to have a more macro analysis of what's going on with that, and my job is to help my audience understand this is what's going on spiritually. This is how the people of God should respond. But I'm not trying. I don't really want to feed the beast. I only really want to respond when I feel that is something that is necessary for me to respond to. And you start attacking the people of God, yes, that's gonna pull me out. And I'm gonna do a video because the brethren, that's my people, right?
Right.
Those who do the will of my Father are my brothers and my sisters. So I did not know she called Allie Beth a fake Christian.
Call her a fake Christian. Hold on. I had the clip and I deleted the screenshot, but that doesn't mean anything. It just means I just deleted it. But I will pull it up in a second.
I didn't know.
Oh yeah. So but even in that, like, she missed the graciousness that the woman extended to her and just, giving her I thought it was a very gracious retort and correction. We were talking earlier about Brandon Tatum correcting his sister. We're like, yeah, that was a gracious correction from Allie Beth. And I think what we don't get from Brandon Tatum. Don't want to start a fight there.
So Allie Beth is a fake Christian. My question, it's interesting that I had a train of thought. I had something that I was going to say and I lost it. It'll come back. It'll come back. And when it does, and it was good too. I was holding on, but perimenopausal brain. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
Wow, that's interesting. A fake Christian.
Yeah, she's a fake Christian because she called out Allie Beth, and I'm sorry, she called out Candace to the point that you were making. Because she got that narcissistic injury, she called her a fake Christian, and she was not even. I got to pull it up. I know my mods are going to tell me what it was because it was pretty egregious. Like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
I'm betting a whole zero up in
That's interesting that she would say that. So I'm like, so you actually, if you believe Allie Beth is a fake Christian, why would you ask Allie Beth to participate in a public debate with your husband when you were toying with the idea of, am I going to remain the fake Christian that she was or convert to the false religion of Rome and become a Catholic? She enlisted the help of Allie, and they had a very public, charitable engagement discussing doctrine and theology and the gospel and the difference between what Protestants believe and the difference between what Catholics believe. I think it's interesting. I'd be like, so on what basis is she making that assertion, though? Because I would ask her, what makes a Christian? How does one become a Christian, Candace?
No,
I would ask her that. I'd be like, you articulate to me the standard that you are applying to assert that Allie Beth is not a Christian. That's probably one of the first questions that I would ask her.
No, that's a fantastic question. I don't think that she would be able to realistically answer it with any level of veracity. Why can't I find
But
this?
the question is, what does this have to do with Charlie Kirk's assassination? Nothing. This is her venom and her vitriol because she is angry. I believe this in my heart of hearts. She believes that TPUSA belongs to her.
No question.
She does not feel that Erica is capable of running that organization. And since she was there during the early stages of it, now that Charlie is gone, how dare they allow his wife to take on and move his legacy forward? That is supposed to be hers. And I got a lot of flack for that. A lot of people didn't like the fact that I said that she sounds like a jilted lover and that she wants to be Erica Kirk. A lot of people were very offended. I got one lady sent me this whole long that email. I was like, ma'am, listen.
Nobody got time for that.
I can't read a 4-page letter. Okay. I'm not Aaliyah. I'm not interested. I said what I said, and you're not. I think my concern is, why aren't we dealing with the arguments, the lack of discernment, the fact that the goalpost continues to be moved, and she has cast aspersions on everybody. I'm waiting for her to say that April Chapman has something to do with it. That's how ludicrous it is at this point. Because I went to the memorial,
Now, where were you? Where have you been, April? So we might need to check some boxes. Where have you been? Where were you on that fateful day? Were you on an Egyptian plane? Were you?
No, but my dad's in the military. You see,
it's a wrap. You're in trouble. It's a wrap.
In the Army in the Korean War. Yeah, and he was a victim of Agent Orange. So because he was a victim of Agent Orange, the neurological issues that he experienced as a result of that caused a root of bitterness to raise up in his heart, and he got mad at Charlie Kirk, who had not even been born yet. You see, because he was going to have a child 10, 15, 12 years after being discharged from the military, who was not going to be born in April, but whose name is April. And I like butterflies.
I got one even better.
I like butterflies, and I got stung by a bee on the lip when I was 6. I'm a suspect.
There you go. You might need to call your lawyer. But let me also add this: if your dad was impacted by Agent Orange,
he was
Orange Man bad.
That's it. Oh, and I'm from New York.
Oh, come on.
I'm from New York, and it's on record that I said that I liked Trump since I was 5 years old. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. Huh? That's it right there. Put the pieces together.
I would highly recommend that you go ahead and get your lawyer on the phone.
I will not. I shine tonight.
Oh, you know what I can't do? I can't figure out why I can't find this picture. I know. I'm letting you all the way down. I'm like, where did this picture go?
It's okay.
Let me check my email, because I know one of them has sent it to me in email. All right. Give me real quick. So shout out to all the new people that have just found out about April. Make sure y'all check out our friend April Chapman on Unshakable with April. Tell us, what are you doing? What are you working on that you can tell us about? That you can tell us about on your channel or off channel, whatever.
Well, okay. So the big thing I'm working on right now, I'm working on a book called The Red Gospel. Anyone who watches my channel knows that I talk politics macro, but I do have a heart and an affinity for my kinsmen according to the flesh, Black people.
Absolutely.
And in the sense that I have been very, very interested in trying to unpack and understand why do so many within the Black community fall in line with liberalism despite being so intimately connected to the church and faith traditions and things of that nature. And what I found is that the ethnic expression of the Black church was heavily influenced by Marxism and communism, and the church has been a conduit for that. And it answers so many questions as to why the Black community, by and large, is so loyal to the Democrat Party and why the Black church is complicit in maintaining that stronghold. So my book, The Red Gospel, actually traces the history of all of that. And I do name some names. I do.
Uh-oh. The names are going to be named?
The names will be named. I talk about Howard Thurman. Obviously, I've got to give James Cone an honorable mention. W.E.B. Du Bois, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, Martin Luther King, Ralph David Abernathy, Jesse Jackson.
The whole game.
Al is getting some shine. And then some modern day equivalents, Freddie Haynes, Jamal Bryant, Reginald Sharp, Otis Moss III. Everybody's getting to work in the Red Gospel. They're getting that work. But it's important. But this book is not just for the Black community. I am writing this book from the vantage point of why does this matter to the church at large? And it matters to every believer, regardless of your ethnicity, because you need to be aware of how Satan has infiltrated this segment of the church universal. And the goal is to cause, obviously, widespread apostasy, which is going to happen. But it explains a lot why the Black church would side with people who want to murder babies up until the 9th month. Why do you see this shift within the Black church that is just okay with a whole hard ankle grown man marrying another man and calling him a first gentleman, like in the church, right?
Right.
So I got the book. By God's grace, I'm praying I'll have it done by the end of this year. I also have Chad Jackson's film, Motives Unmasked. We're in our, we're releasing episodes weekly, and the culmination of that will happen in the spring with a theater length feature version. And we're going to do some live events, some in Atlanta, Nashville, Dallas. I'm also brokering a sit down conversation with Chad Jackson and Vince Everett Ellison. They've got some friendly fire disagreements that they're going to be working out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's a healthy discussion. But as you know, Chad comes from, or you may not know, Chad comes from the position that, the Republicans are just as bad as the Democrats because they're not really conserving anything. And if you watch Vince's content, Vince is like, I understand what you're coming from, but no, these two animals are not the same ideologically, and let me show you why. So I am moderating that in-person debate. They kind of want to do a cigar cognac theme. So my hair will be stinking like cigar smoke probably. But I'm excited for that. And what? A documentary I'm working on called Slavery is a Choice. Yeah, I'm excited about that. And just little stuff here and there, just the usual.
I love it.
Working hard. Oh, America Fest is coming up. AmFest, TPUSA's annual conference. Speaking of which, a lot of people are saying, well, is TPUSA dead? Are they done? Are they washed up? Absolutely not. Turning point for the first time, it was always Charlie's wish to sell out and to pack out an arena. And AmeriFest is sold out. I'm talking like the waiting list probably got about 10,000 people on it.
Wow.
They can't get in. So if you want to come to America Fest, it's too late. You can't come. Phoenix is done. So that's exciting.
No, that's dope. Let me tell you, because I am one of those people that is concerned about TPUSA.
I get it.
And we've talked about this, so I'll just share with you up front.
Sure.
Some of the people, I understand the Big Tent wanting to be as super gracious to people and such like that. But me and you have talked about it offline, and we cut people off after a certain point. and say, that person is just not willing to reconsider his or her thoughts and join us closer here, they're going way out there, and I can't stretch myself out that far.
Yeah.
I do think some of the people that they've aligned themselves with, and I'll just say Tucker Carlson is one of those people. I think Megyn Kelly is one of those people that they're not going to do them. Sure, at one point they did rock with you and they walked hand in hand with you. And Charlie would probably still mess with them if he were here.
Right.
But I think now it's fair to say, yeah. So that's my only concern is some of the people that they rock with, they might need to do a culling of the herd. And maybe we don't need to have everybody that just waves the banner of conservatism. Because to me, then it does kind of lend itself to what Chad is saying, like, you ain't conservative enough. So that's my only concern.
Yeah, well, here's what I'll say about that. Charlie was known as just the peacemaker.
Yes.
His goal was to, as much as it depended on him, to live at peace with all men. And it was weird because he didn't agree. Like, everyone who's ever graced a TPUSA stage, he does not agree with or align with 100%. And that could be the very thing that we're looking at, like, that's annoying us, was the very thing that made us love him. Because
Correct.
He never met a stranger. He didn't really have enemies. Like, people didn't like him, but he was like, I'm not going to be that way toward you. I'll give you a platform, an opportunity, to get your message out, and then I'll counteract you with the truth. At this point, some of those figures are very polarizing. Your Megyn Kelly's.
Tucker's.
I'm trying to understand why she's so polarizing. I can see Tucker. I understand people smoke with Tucker. But Megyn, I'm not quite sure or convinced why people explain to me why you think she should be put by the wayside.
Really, it's in the last probably the last 2 weeks where she really, when Ben Shapiro came on her show and Ben said, hey, Candace said this. And she said, well, I don't know anything about it.
Right.
Feigning, like, I'm not the mother of the internet. And then like the next day, she had a lot of things to say about him. So she went home and studied. She studied. And I'm like, ma'am, no, that is a little bit more than that. And to me, it's this, Candace couches this thing and says, hey, I have a friend that lives in Georgia. She does podcasts. She's currently wearing a green dress. She has an American flag in the background of her site. And everybody said, ooh, I know what it is. It's April. Like, well, I never said it was April. I never said it was April Chapman. You just assumed that. But everything I did was describe April Chapman. So
is that what Megyn did or Candace did?
No, that's what Candace has done. Oh. So though Ben Shapiro said, yes, she has claimed that Erica did it. No, you can't find that sentence anywhere. But you've done everything else to make it plain. So Ben Shapiro wasn't lying.
Right.
And so a lot of people, the smoke that Megyn is getting now is because a lot of people felt like, ma'am, are you mean to tell me you haven't heard any of this? None of this? And she just, clutched her pearls like, I don't listen to her content. But then the next day you got some mad smoke for him. Like, hold on.
You know what this is, right?
What's that?
This is the game that you have to play with the narcissist, because if you don't, I'll just, this is my opinion. A lot of people see that Candace doesn't have a low, and she'll just go lower. Like, just when you think she can't get no lower, she'll go lower. And so a lot of people, I'm willing to extend grace only because I've been through this and I know what it's like, where you see the writing on the wall and you can clearly, it's clear that you like, something wrong with this chick. She crazy. She out of pocket. Like, this is toxic. This is bad. This is bad for me. I need to get away from this person. But yet you already know this person has no integrity.
Facts.
And if she will release text messages where the president is like, hey, can you not, with the Macron, like, can you just fall back a little bit? And then she takes to a platform, there's nothing's off limits to her.
Mm-hmm.
So because she lacks professional integrity, she doesn't know what it really means to be a true friend. Everything and everyone is a transaction.
That is correct.
Everything and everyone is what can I get from them, or how can this person help me? But it's very one-sided. It's not a symbiotic relationship. And a lot of people, when they're caught in her web, don't realize it till it's too late. How they're like, but I stood, like I was 10 toes down for you, and I never said anything bad about you. But it's like, she'll throw you up under the bus, and they'll be like, I didn't do that. I never said that.
Never.
And you're like, okay, no, not in those exact words. But remember, the narcissist will manipulate and gaslight the mess out of you. Pee on you and be like, now you know this ain't pee. You know this is
it's raining. It's just raining.
Spray. This is lavender room spray. Why are you out here? You think like she did with Allie, like she tried to was like, I don't even know why Allie is crashing out like this. Like, what is she talking about?
Let me bring this in so you can see it.
Okay.
Hold on, let me move this. And now here. All right, here we go. I want to say this was Thursday.
Upon that, I saw a clip of Ali Stuckey, who I very much like. I've been clear about that. I very much like Ali Stuckey. I'm very surprised she's working with Alyssa Cordova, but she's also in very rare form. I don't know what's driving that. And she kind of, I guess upon that, I saw a clip of Ali Stuckey.
It didn't. There's actually a tweet where she talks about the fake Christian. So, but this is part of it. But go ahead. What are you about to say?
No, this is where they play the victim.
Yes.
This is where they punch you in the mouth and then they fall out like, it's the victim, the eternal victim.
Eternal victim.
It's never her. It's never, Candace, you said this, and I'm responding to this, and this is why you got the response that you got. I don't know why she's crashing out like this. I mean, I don't even know. Completely clueless, as if we all didn't see it. And the goal, she'll move the goalpost so much that you, Bob and Weave, you'll never know where she's going next. And the whole goal is to make you question your reality, to make you think, well, did that really happen? Well, maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I didn't hear her clearly. When you know what you heard.
Absolutely.
It's manipulation.
Yeah, it is. Okay. For some reason or another, I have no idea why I can't find this clip. But Todd over at Todd Thinks, shout out to Todd. I was going to actually bring that video in. So it's funny that this is in it. So I got to bring in the video clip from Todd Thinks because I can't find my clip. So this is Candace's response to Allie's first reply out. This brand of fake Christianity has to end. Everyone saw you make multiple stories, tweets, and videos referencing me for weeks. Your implications were not kind and they were not Christian. Then when I finally respond, you pretend you're some injured bird who had to dig deep into the wells of your faith to find the right scriptures to guide her. No, just stop. This is a bad act.
She's projecting.
Absolutely.
This is what they do. Everyone saw you make multiple tweets, and videos referencing me. You injured me. You
injured
talked
me. You hurt
about me.
Yes.
Now, mind you, she didn't say Candace's name, but we all knew the very thing that she's saying Allie is doing is what she did. Right? So she says this and then projects your implications were not kind. By what standard? Nothing Allie said was uncharitable. Now, if somebody levied that claim toward me, I might actually own it. Because listen, I'm not syrupy sweet like Goldilocks, Allie Beth. I love her for that. That's her gift, to just be sweet and is kind and I'm a throat cutter. I'm just cut from a different cloth.
Right.
It is what it is. But I'm not coming from a place of malice. I'm very assertive in what I say and how I say it. And if I did not have love, care, and concern for Candace's soul, I would not have said, you know what? I need us to mention Candace in our prayers because she is at war with God right now. That's what it is. We can have a conversation about the tone police. We can, but it was the breath and the substance of what any of us
saying.
are saying it is not with malicious intent, but how she's going after people. Oh, it is absolutely to be malicious. Why else would you implicate random innocent people and imply or infer or suggest that they have something to do with Charlie's murder, just like she did with Erica Kirk, saying, well, I never said Erica had anything to do with it. And I'm like, you are some kind of crazy. They need to commit you.
I thought about it today also. You know, today was a day of thinking. I said, okay, the organization TPUSA, okay, let's make it a ladder, right? So let's say, because she said everybody at TPUSA betrayed Charlie.
She did.
But I did not address, but not Erica. So that means the budgeting department, the marketing department,
media,
merchandising, video, everybody else, but not the head of the top of the ladder. Okay.
Right.
Okay. If that's what you want me to believe. The podcast.
If you try to nail her on something, that's what makes the narcissist so evil and wicked and malicious and destructive, because they will never accept accountability for anything that they say. And they will weave, the web that they weave is so intricate that even this is where they start messing up. That CNN interview was her messing up because she has weaved so much discord and dissension and division that she was losing track and losing count of all of the things that she said, and she was trying to keep it straight ahead, and she got caught out there.
Have you seen the full interview?
No.
Oh, okay. I'll send it to you. I did a review of it. I have the full interview.
I wasn't paying for that.
The full interview is 23 minutes, 24 minutes. And it's just as bad. I want to see the director's cut though. I want to see the unedited version.
It makes you ask the question, why would a conservative who claims to not trust the FBI, she don't trust the media, she probably doesn't even trust George. Why would you go and give an interview to CNN when you claim no one can be trusted? And why do it if you have the #1 podcast and the largest platform and can garner an audience where people are hanging on to your every wicked word? What you need the media for? Unless you are trying to destroy and besmirch, you're trying to mess up this case, you're trying to tear TPUSA down, you are at war with everything that Charlie loved, including his Lord.
And I no argument for me. She actually talks about it in there. That's why I say I want to see the director's cut, because they say that in the video, they say that we've been talking for an hour, but the video is only 23 minutes long. So that means there's about 37 minutes missing. Right. I need a Snyder cut of that one, right? Because there's a part where she says, I've been in communication with Tyler Robinson and Lance, whatever's family. And I'm like, hold on. Why is that not witness interference if you've been, and you're not a part of the case?
And you're not doing investigation. You love Charlie.
Right, but you love Charlie. Okay.
Charlie. Don't nobody believe you.
Nobody believes you. There's a question here, April. I don't know if you have time, because I've talked about this and I would love to hear you talk about this one. One of the issues, again, it was like Thursday. Candace brought on Lance Wallnau talking about the 7 Mountain Mandate. And that's that. And you're familiar with this or no?
I'm familiar. Yeah. So I used to attend a church where
Me too.
this was taught like as from the pulpit.
Yep.
And obviously I was unregenerate and didn't know my Bible. So I didn't have an answer for it back then. But essentially, do you want me to explain it or just give my opinion on it?
I'll explain it and then you give your opinion. How about that? Sure. 7 Mountain Mandate is this idea that there are 7 areas of culture, and I don't remember them all by, there's arts, education, government, finance, media arts,
religion,
and religion. Okay, let's go with that one. There's seven areas of influence, and that Christians should try to, capitalize each one of those areas. So example would be
the kingdom of God.
Right. So let's say entertainment. So all Christians should try to get in there and take over entertainment. So all entertainment would be godly or Christ-centric. Okay, the 7 mountains. That's the skinny of it. Now
Right.
somebody else might tease it out a little bit more, but that's the quick elevator pitch. So now you go ahead, April. What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I don't see a biblical basis for that. We are to evangelize the lost,
For
make
sure.
disciples, spread the gospel to the four
No
corners
argument.
of the earth. But we're to do that individually. But we can't build a biblical case where the apostles were like, "All right, Peter, you go to Rome. Okay, you make sure Caesar know." Who
Right,
you
right.
know what I'm saying? Like he was appealing to Caesar, like Caesar needs a savior too, but we weren't trying to take over Caesar's kingdom and take
Right.
it the kingdom of Christ. We just didn't see that happening. You saw the apostles arguing apologetically, at the Areopagus or,
Yep.
with the Epicureans. They were knee deep in philosophy and infusing their biblical worldview, but it was more so to preach Christ and Him crucified. But we don't have any sort of biblical precedent that it is a mandate by Christians to assert authority over these 7 mountains of influence, because this world is not even our home. And then
I agree.
the way to eternal life is narrow. So why are you trying to expect this big tent influence when few find it? They're
Correct.
going to be few from probably every tribe, tongue, nation, and people group, but I don't know about spheres of influences on mountains. I
Right.
find a lot of people they chase after these weird, wonky, extra biblical doctrines, and then they capitalize off of it and they write books about it and they do conferences and seminars. But if you ask them to defend it exegetically in
From the
context
scripts.
from the scriptures, they can't. They can't. I mean, I get it, but I'm not trying to do that.
No.
Mm-mm.
No. Thank you so
It
much.
is weird though.
Yeah, it's very weird. And I think, and Candace brought that up as if that was the idea of the majority of Christians. And no, it's not. And
I mean,
again,
how
I
are
know
you going to capture Hollywood for Christ? It's perverted. We don't want Satan's kingdom. We make converts from individuals.
for
Like
individuals.
we snatch people out the fire, as Jude say. We make disciples.
Mhm.
Or technically, we snatch some out, but it's through the seeds of the gospel. How I asked them, you're saying that God put me in Hollywood to conquer Hollywood for Christ. So am I gonna participate in making like freak nasty movies?
I don't,
Like, and I'm trying to understand the real world application of that. How's that gonna work out?
and I don't think anybody ever thinks about how it's played out. Like in education, like, okay, fine. We have Christians in education, but what we're teaching still isn't Christian. Like
Right. Like
there's
we're
a problem
supposed
there.
to be the salt and the light.
Absolutely.
But we ain't supposed to take, like, we sprinkle the salt and we bring the light, but we're not trying to take over the whole meal.
Right, right. Because
Yeah.
otherwise you got I guess you got a big salt lick. I guess I don't know. That's gonna be weird. That's gonna be strange.
I don't know. Good
All
question
right.
though. Thank you.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you. All right, how much time I got? I know I want you to be like, look, Jason, I got
I was
fellowship.
gonna go live. I was, but I don't even know what I was gonna talk about. So I
That's
might
all
just
right.
do a
What is
ask
that in
me
your hand?
anything. A fan.
Lord have mercy. Y'all stretch your hand.
Hot. Bro, these lights are hot. I'm hot.
That's because you a superstar. See, we just got plain old Elgato key lights up in here. You over here got the
Lights you gave me.
is that the light I gave you?
They're the same lights. The panel light.
Yeah.
All we did was suspend them from the ceiling.
Why they create so much heat? I don't know. I'm sorry.
No, it's me. It's my hormones. I'm old. Jesus, be offended.
Be offense, Lord. Be offense.
Lord.
All right, April, I'm gonna let you get up out of here. I want to say thank you so much for coming through.
You are welcome. You're welcome.
Yo.
It was nice. I miss chopping it up with you. You've grown so much, and
Well, thank you, friend.
I love the rebrand. The rebrand is definitely that was it. It was that we had to do the. We both rebranded though. We did.
Yeah, we did. I love it.
So
If the mods could just make sure we have April's link in the chat again. Thank you, April from Unshakable, who
you
stopped
can
on through.
connect your YouTube account to join the live chat. That's what it was asking me, telling me I could do. Meaning, like I could participate in the chat.
Yeah.
What?
I
I'm
think
not
so.
trying to talk and type at the same time.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I've been doing.
Really?
Yeah, but I do it all the time.
My
though.
audience be like, "Ma'am, you were too distracted. Pick a struggle. Okay, you either go talk or you go type, but you can't do both.
You can't do them both. I love it. I love
I'm
it.
not that coordinated.
Now, let me tell you. Now, I mess it up a lot. Now, let's be honest. Tell the truth. I mess it up a lot, but they're gracious to me.
Anyway, it's been real. It's been
you got
fun.
a friend.
It's been
Thank
real
you so
fun.
much, April. I appreciate you, love. Be good.
You're welcome. Bye.
Take care. All right. So that was April from Unshakable. See, I do have friends, y'all. I really do. I really do have friends. Thank y'all so much. And here's her link right here. Y'all go by and check out what she's doing. I know she's going to earn your subscription and comment, all that kind of stuff. I will do my best, Ben, to make sure. Look, it took a lot of arm twisting, man. Let me tell you. There's a lot of text messaging, like you come in or not. So shout out to April for sure, man. I appreciate y'all. Now, before April came on, we were still watching Frank Turek and Allie Beth.
Said that he hopes.
We were doing Frank Turek and Allie Beth. So I want to finish that up so we can get moving, y'all. Thank you so much to the best live chat on the internet. But let me real quick say thank you so much for these very kind supers. Real quick. Thank you so much. Here, let me pull this back in. There we go. Shout out earlier with the $5 super to Firm. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you. What does Vanessa say? April did have something to do with it. Everybody did. Yeah, I mean, April better watch out. She in trouble. Thank you so much for the $2 super for sure. What did Phantom say up in here with 2? Hey, April, praise the Lord. Keep speaking well. Yes, I appreciate April for following through tonight. And of course, Phantom came back around with the 10. The Macrons will not release blood results because this is a top secret info. That is why the French ran up on the French journalists. You ask for Trump's medical info. Secret Service is at your door. Interesting. Okay. I personally think the Macrons are going to ruin Candace by popping up with the medical records. That's what I think. Now, we might not know the results, but I think we'll know the outcome in that Candace loses that case. But that's just me. And Phantom coming back around with the $2 says the 7-mile mandate idea is a post-mill view for idiots. You're a great point. Thank you so much. All right, y'all, let's get done with Allie and Frank Turek talking about what was it like at Turning Point USA at UC Berkeley. Let's go.
That his political opponents get murdered and that his political opponent's wife holds their murdered children as they die. That is the kind of tragedy that he wanted to inflict on his political enemies, and he won. He won, and the governor who endorsed him won. And so, again, that doesn't mean that every Democrat in the state of Virginia said, yes, I love that, but not enough of them didn't love it. Not enough of them hated it in order for him to lose, and it should have been a very easy loss, but we're in a different age. We're in a very different age than we were even 10 to 20 years ago.
Yeah, we are. Rob Schneider the other night put it this way. He said we're in a cold civil war, which I hope doesn't turn into a hot civil war. But the people who say they're fighting for inclusion, tolerance, and diversity will not include and will not tolerate you for holding a diverse view.
Yeah.
Unless the government comes in and ensures that people like me and you and others that are trying to speak freely have that right on college campuses, there's not a lot of hope moving forward.
Yeah.
Allie.
Speaking of the government, you wrote an article, or you argued for the death penalty for Charlie Kirk's killer. We've talked about the death penalty a lot on this show. That is probably one of the things that I get the most pushback on for being pro death penalty post due process in principle because of biblical principles. So tell me your argument for making this statement.
Well, Paul in Romans 13 talks about that the ruler does not bear the sword for nothing to punish wrongdoers. And in his day, the sword meant the ability to use capital punishment on a capital crime offender. So capital punishment was something that both the Old and the New Testaments say is a legitimate form of punishment. And even Jesus himself said that. Because when he's before Pilate, Allie, you remember that Pilate said to Jesus, "Don't you know I have the authority to kill you?" Jesus didn't say, "No, you don't." He said, "You do, but you get that authority from above."
Mm-hmm.
What's the implication? That governments have the authority, legitimate governments have the authority to issue capital punishment for capital crimes. And what so many pro-lifers seem not to get is that, and people even on the other side of the issue, the pro-abortion people say, "Oh, you're pro-life. How could you be pro-death penalty?" Well, there's a stark difference between an innocent baby and a guilty murderer.
Mm-hmm.
The innocent baby has done nothing wrong, but the guilty murderer has. And it's actually respecting life, because you're saying that you took a person made in the image of God, and the only way you can pay for that crime is for your life to be taken, justifiably so. Now, I hope, obviously I think that Tyler Robinson is the true killer of Charlie Kirk. I've talked about all this Candace Owens nonsense on my own podcast. And of course, the trial will reveal all that. But I hope that Tyler Robinson repents, accepts Jesus, and is then executed.
Yeah. Amen. I say that I'm against abortion, for the death penalty, and for the Second Amendment, all for the same reason, because I care about innocent life. I don't think innocent life should be murdered. I think that there should be a just and proportionate punishment to taking innocent life purposely, which Genesis 9:6 says is taking of the murderer's life. And then because I believe that innocent life should also be protected. So people say that there's an inconsistency, but it's actually the same reason for all of them, that people are made in God's image. We matter a lot. And that innocent people need to be protected and not be murdered. People try to overcomplicate that, but it's really not complicated.
Exactly. And if the Christian worldview is true, and it is, Allie, people don't really die. They just change locations.
Yeah.
They go from this life to the next life. And it's not up to us when that happens, except a legitimate government does have the right to either take the life of a guilty murderer or in a just war, and individuals have the right to take life in self-defense. The commandment does not say thou shalt not kill. It says thou shalt not murder. And so many people don't seem to understand that.
There's a difference. There's a difference. Not all killing is sin, clearly, since there are times that God commands his people to kill, as you said, in a just and justified way.
All right. And if you're checking
Next
in, we're checking in with Allie Beth and Frank Turek. Thank y'all so much to everybody who jumped in. This is a good conversation. I'm glad they're having a good clarification. Absolutely. What am I doing here? And watch me? What you watching me about? I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for rocking with us tonight. I really appreciate it. It's been a long day, but I'm glad that you all are tapping in for sure. And please, if you want, there is, when we get finished with this one, there is a video by David Woods that, again, it's like the request line. I'm taking people's requests. So I took that earlier this week. Some people asked me to look at this David Woods video, so I'm going to pull that in, and we're going to look at that one as well. So as soon as Allie Beth and them come back, 1 second, I think they're almost done with her ad read, and we'll be pulling that back in a moment. Let's bring her in. Let's see what she's talking about. It's Shopify.
With Shopify on your side, sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Allie. That's shopify.com/Allie. Well, you brought up Candace Owens. You said that you talked about it on your podcast. Could you tell us, if people haven't watched what you have already said, what is your take? Her proponents say, well, she's the only one seeking truth. She's the only one really investigating. She's trying to figure this out. And then, of course, her detractors say, well, this sounds like a conspiracy theory, and she's airing out pre-existing grievances in the name of investigation and she could be hurting a lot of people in the process. So how should we think about this?
Let me ask you this, Allie. Suppose I were to say that I think Candace Owens is the real killer. And I think the reason she's the real killer is she was upset that Charlie stopped inviting her to the big events. And what she decided to do was have him taken out. So Turning Point USA would not only pay for what they did to her, they would look at her as maybe someone who could succeed Charlie. And then she would be the president. And she's insinuating all sorts of other possibilities in order to prevent her from being found out as the true killer. You would go, Frank, you are crazy. And yeah, I would be crazy to suggest that. It's a possibility, though, isn't it? I mean, it's a possibility, Allie. I mean, anything's possible, but do I have evidence for it? I have zero evidence for it. And I would never want anybody to send Candace Owens death threats because I'm pushing a possibility without evidence. But you know what? That's what Candace Owens has done to others. My friend Mikey McCoy is getting death threats. I'm getting emails saying, you never know what could happen to you.
Wow.
You ought to repent. It's one thing to ask questions. It's another thing to present or to insinuate that someone is guilty because you've put a web of possibilities together without any evidence that says that what you're saying is true. And I know there are a lot of unanswered questions about this particular murder, and there should be. Now, why should there be? I had my friend Jay Warner Wallace, the cold case homicide detective, on the show about 5 weeks ago, a couple weeks after the murder. And Jim has been a part of several homicide investigations and prosecutions. And here's his main point. The prosecution is never going to tell the public anything they don't need to tell them. The prosecution's goal is to convict the real killer, not quell conspiracy theories.
That's a good point.
Why? Well, let's put it this way, Allie. If the FBI is right now investigating a second shooter with regard to the Charlie Kirk murder, they're not going to tell the public. Why? Because if they tell the public and then someone comes forward and says, oh, I saw the second shooter, they don't really know if that guy really saw the second shooter or that guy's just trying to make a name for himself and trying to get attention for himself.
Right.
They have to keep their cards close to the vest. Also, they don't want to taint the jury pool. Also, they don't want to tip off the defense. Prosecutions rarely reveal what they have. They will, though, check into security, I should say, conspiracy theories privately. How do I know? Because they checked into me. I don't know if you saw the stupid guy in the white hat. He's signaling the killer for Charlie Kirk. I didn't even know about that for the first 30 hours. When I got back to Phoenix after the murder, this was, this was Thursday afternoon. It happened Wednesday about noon. When I finally got back to Phoenix after J.D. Vance came and picked up Charlie on Air Force 2, my wife picked me up and said, do you know that you're the subject of a conspiracy theory? I said, what? What are you talking about? And she told me the whole story about the guy in the white hat.
Yeah.
No, Allie, I'm still getting people online saying,
and
you're
not
a part
from
of this.
Candace. That particular one wasn't from Candace, just from other people. And this is just
True.
an example, though, of when people imply things or say things about you, it has a real consequence on your life.
Yes. And it's so stupid. Like, why would anybody looking through a scope from 200 yards need somebody 25 feet from Charlie in a white hat to tell the shooter, hey, Charlie's over there. He's the one with the microphone under the tent. He couldn't even see me anyway if he's looking through his scope.
Right.
It makes no sense at all, yet people still believe this.
Yeah.
And so the FBI actually called me, Allie, and we just have to ask you the question. Were you signaling the shooter?
Yeah.
He said, I know this is kind of ridiculous, but I have to ask you. Why do they have to ask me? Because what's the defense going to do? Did you
Yeah.
check into the guy in the white hat? Did you check into
Right.
the second shooter? Did you check into this? Did you check into that? And the FBI is going to do all that.
Think about all the resources that are going to be squandered because of that, because of the sheer volume of conspiracies that have come out. The man in the bush, the company that owns the property around the school, the Ninja Turtles, the bees, all of this stuff, man, the Egyptian plane, all that they're going to have to look into because of these conspiracies. That's crazy. And I'm not saying that they don't follow leads, but some of them are not even leads. They're not even real leads at all. They're just kind of thrown out like, why did this person's arm move 32.8 seconds before this? What are you talking about? That's the part.
Why? Because if they want a real conviction, they don't want any holes in the case. But they're not going to broadcast to the world. We checked into that. We checked into this.
Yeah. So would it be plausible to say that someone who is positing the guilt of, all of these other people at Turning Point, Mikey McCoy, I believe that the statement was that he acted weird after Charlie died. That was the accusation. And also that he was planning to be some kind of successor, which I don't see any evidence for any of that. And I just think how painful it must be to be someone who was close to Charlie, who watched him die, you too, and be swept up in like, oh, possibly like, were you involved in this? But so would it be plausible to say that making all of those statements publicly, someone with a platform doing that could help the defense and hurt the prosecution?
Yeah, of course it could. Look, Candace has a right to ask any questions she wants. I think she crosses a line, an ethical line, not a free speech line, an ethical line when she is insinuating people are guilty without evidence. You know what one of her pieces of evidence?
Wait, real quick. I want to bring that in because that's when I'm glad he said that. I'm glad he said that. That we're not talking about a free speech line. We're talking about an ethical line. And there is a level of ethics that need to be played into even your free speech. I agree with that. Shout out to Frank. That's a good catch. Let me give him
Evidence was she had a dream. Charlie came to her in a dream and told her he had been betrayed. Hey, Allie, do you think Charlie Kirk was such a dunce that he hired people around him that were not loyal to him?
Doesn't seem like the Charlie
really
that I
think
knew.
that's
One of the
possible?
smartest people ever.
Yes. I mean, do you think Charlie was such a bad judge of character that he hired people that would turn on him and were secretly scheming against him? I don't have enough faith to believe that. I mean, that takes a lot more faith than believing that some kid who had been radicalized by leftist ideology and was in relationship with a trans person took Charlie out, because that's the best evidence we have at this point. Now, all the evidence has not come to bear. By the way, Allie, do you think that the parents of Tyler Robinson, if he was not guilty, would be making a stink about this if he was innocent? Have you heard a word from the parents? No, the parents were the ones that turned him in. I mean, this is like the reverse Occam's razor. Occam's razor says that probably, it says don't multiply causes beyond necessity. That probably the simplest explanation is the true explanation. But we need to wait for the trial for all the evidence to come forward. If there's some conspiracy going on there, don't you think that Charlie's friends, Kash Patel and Dan Bongino, are going to get to the bottom of it? I might be more skeptical if it was the Biden AG. But these are the friends of Charlie. Charlie had Kash Patel's cell phone and Dan Bongino. See, he had everyone's cell phone, Allie. We know that. I mean, he was one of the most well-connected persons among Christians and among politicians ever. And he was 31 years old. This man was not betrayed by people closest to him.
Yeah.
That's not the answer.
And I'm going to throw an idea out. as Allie does a commercial break, why would anybody want to take out Charlie Kirk because of his possible position changing on a particular sliver of land about the size of New Jersey in the Middle East, but allow larger platforms and larger, more vocal people who call them demonic, who say they're committing genocide and all this stuff, to allow them to stay, but to take Charlie out because he could have been maybe considering changing his position on this little sliver of land the size of New Jersey in the Middle East. It just doesn't comport. It just doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. But, and I'm finding it funny in one sense, but then sad in the other, that so many people are not using critical thinking to think past that and say, well, this doesn't really make sense. So let me bring them back in. Shout out to Frank and Allie, crushing it. Shout out to them. Here we go.
Mikey for a second.
Sure.
Mikey, I just love that man. 23 years old. Now he's 24.
So young. I didn't realize he was that young.
Such a servant. Just a servant. And me and Mikey and Charlie were having dinner in Phoenix in May. And Charlie had to go up to use the restroom. I said, Mikey, you know, Charlie couldn't do much of what he does without you. He said, it's just my honor to serve him. And why did Mikey immediately get on his phone? Candace Owens said, you know, there are 3 possibilities. You know, when you're struck with a tragedy, number 1 is you run from it. Number 2, you run toward it. Or number 3, you freeze. And Mikey did neither of that. Mikey immediately got on his phone. Well, first of all, let me suggest this. There's nothing normal about an abnormal situation. Nobody knows how they're going to react in an abnormal, traumatic situation. The only reason I did what I did was because I knew what I would do beforehand, because I had thought about it. Because I always was afraid somebody was going to take a shot at Charlie. And I said, look, if I'm there, I got to do something, if I can, anything to try and save him. And so that's why I got in the car. You know what Mikey had been told over and over again by Charlie? If anything happens to me, the first thing you do is you call Erica. Get her on the phone immediately. Now, Erica was in Phoenix. We were in Utah. Mikey did the emergency procedure. That's what you're supposed to do. And anybody in the military or law enforcement knows what I'm talking about. You know, I was in the Navy for 8 years. You think about all this stuff before it happens. So when it happens, you don't have to think. You just do what you're supposed to do. What sense would it make for Mikey to run to Charlie when his security team, 6 guys, were already on him? Well, 4 guys were on him. There were 2 more there.
Right.
They were already, they were right there. He would have just gotten in the way. He knew what he had to do and he did it.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't have any special insight, but I assume that thing, as you said, had been rehearsed. And as you said, had been talked about. And Erica said on Fox News to Jesse Waters that Mikey called her and said, get the kids, get security. This just happened. And so if that's not what happened, are people saying that Erica is lying? Like, that would be the implication there, that she's not telling the truth. And so I really feel for him, and the implication that, you know, he was promised to be Charlie's successor, and that's why he's speaking at Liberty University. Again, no evidence of that. I mean, Mikey's not hosting Charlie's show. I don't see like Mikey doing a bunch of interviews out there being like, I haven't seen him at a campus stop. He hasn't been on doing any of these debates. There have been a lot of us, you, me, a lot of other people who were in this circle who have been asked to go to this speaking engagement or go to this campus stop or fill in or do this interview or things like that. Not, you know, to take anyone's place, but just because, you know, we're trying to fill in for a friend. But I haven't seen any evidence of Mikey stepping into any realm. I've seen him continue to serve. And so again, I just don't see the proof. And I think it matters a whole lot to put someone, you know, in the crosshairs by implying that somehow they were involved in this. That's like a really, really hefty claim to make.
Yeah, and it's causing dissension among the brothers. And you know who's urging him to step in more? I am, because I think the kid is gifted. And I've tried to have several mentoring sessions with him, like I had with Charlie, and he just can't do it yet. He just can't. I mean, we've tried to do it, and he's in mourning, and he's trying to hold it together. I mean, he's a strong kid, but he's a kid. He's 24.
Yeah.
And I mean, he has the demeanor and the intellect to go, once he's trained, onto a college campus and be a very attractive ambassador for Jesus. And so I hope at some point he does. But I would bet my life on Mikey McCoy. He did not. He had nothing to do with this. And yet you should see the horrific things people are saying about him.
Yeah, man.
It's very sad, Allie.
It is
and again,
very sad.
Candace, ask as many questions as you want, but don't insinuate people are guilty without evidence. A dream is not evidence.
Yeah.
Okay? You're not a prophet. Okay? God didn't come to you in a dream.
Man.
And neither are, secret sources also aren't evidence, because
No.
when something is not verifiable, I've thought a lot about the Kafka trap, and it was something that we talked about that you could probably explain way better than me, but we talked about this a lot in 2020 of this Kafka trap, which is you're a racist, and if you deny that you're a racist, you just prove more that you're a racist. And that's kind of what I see a lot with that you're guilty or you're part of this, and you're only denying it because you are being paid off, because you're under pressure. Like the only reason you would disagree with me is if you are guilty or you're propping up the guilty or something like that. Well, that becomes this non-falsifiable thing.
It reminds me, sorry, Al, it reminds me of an old Monty Python sketch. I think it was from The Life of Brian, where this guy, Brian, is mistaken to be the Messiah. And so the people are saying, you're the Messiah, right? You're the Messiah, right? And he goes, no, I'm not the Messiah. I'm not the Messiah. Yes, you are. You're the Messiah. You're the Messiah. And they keep harassing me. Finally says, okay, I am the Messiah. And they go, he is the Messiah. It doesn't matter what you say. Their conclusion is already made. Whether you affirm it or deny it, they're going to find evidence for their position, what they think is evidence, but it really isn't. That's what's going on here. It doesn't matter what you say, what you deny, what you affirm. The conclusion is preloaded into their investigation, and that's not how you find truth. You don't have your conclusion already established before you look at the evidence.
I like that. Shout out to Frank.
Last sponsor for the day.
Shout out to Frank Turek for sure. And if you're just jumping in, we're watching Allie Beth on Relatable interview Dr. Frank Turek. And of course, Frank Turek was a mentor to Charlie Kirk. He's a mentor to Mike McCoy, and he was there when Charlie Kirk was killed. And they're just talking, now they're just kind of going over a lot of the, knocking down some of the high points as it relates to conspiracies and things that people have said, and so on and so forth. So you can hear it straight from the camel's mouth, which I think is super dope. Thank you to everybody who's jumped into the most electrifying live chat on the planet. I appreciate y'all for sure. What do we got here? It's called the what trap? Really? Okay, I've never heard of that before, but that's a perfect word. I mean, a perfect example. I just never heard the word before. Shout out for sure. Charlie was Candace's friend. Candace was not Charlie's friend. That's a good point. I see what you did there. But I also see that Allie is done with her ad read, so let's go ahead and get them back in. Let's go.
Man, you mentioned those mentorship sessions that you would have with Charlie. You've talked about that publicly, going on walks with him. Can you tell us just a little bit more about some of the conversations that you had with him, the ones that you're willing to share before he died? Like where his heart was, the questions that he was asking. What was he seeking the Lord about?
Yeah, I'll try and do this without getting emotional because it had to do with you, actually. We were on September 8th. The murder occurred on September 10th. So this is Monday night, September 8th. And Charlie just gotten back from a trip to Japan and Korea, and he flew in he got home on Sunday night the 7th, and I got into Phoenix Sunday night the 7th. And so he said, let's have some, we had prearranged this the month before that I would be there when he landed. And so on Monday he said, okay, we got to meet, and we got to do some sessions. So Monday during the day we got together in his office and we went through some issues, and of course he was tired, had to take a nap, and I hadn't seen Eric and the kids for a couple of days. He said, okay, I'm gonna go have dinner with Eric and the kids. Can we do a walk tonight? Because we would go on these walks. I'd been in Phoenix. This was the 4th time this summer to do these sessions. And so, yeah, let's do a walk after dinner. So we would go on these long walks after dark, always with about a 300-pound armed bodyguard behind us.
Yeah.
And he would be 10 to 15 feet behind us as we walked. And there were 3 issues that we discussed that he wanted to discuss. So again, Charlie, what do you want to talk about? Let's talk about, right? First issue was Islam, because he, like all rational people, understand that macro Islam is a problem for Western civilization, not micro Islam. There are many nice Muslims who don't believe in jihad, or they still believe in freedom of speech and freedom of religion and all that. But macro Islam, the idea that Islam, which means submission, is really a political ideology that is inconsistent with the First Amendment to the United States Constitution and inconsistent with freedom of speech and freedom of religion and all these things. And so we talked a lot about that. The next issue he wanted to talk about was the resurrection. How do we convince young people of the 2 facts I always talk about? You only need to establish 2 facts to show that mere Christianity is true. One is God exists. The second is Jesus rose from the dead. If those 2 facts are true, Christianity is true. I mean, you can show from that point that the Bible is the word of God. Okay. So we talked a lot about that. But then the third issue, which we probably spent the most amount of time on, Allie, Charlie was trying to figure out how could he get his generation to embrace marriage and childbearing, embrace the family. And he saw that many men were embracing it. In fact, the surveys show that among Trump voters anyway, the number 1 goal of young men was to get married and have kids.
Wow.
But for Trump voters who were women, it was like number 6 on their list. And for Harris voters, it was like at the bottom almost of their list. And Charlie was trying to figure out, how could we move people toward a pro-family, pro-child position?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, a lot of ladies probably aren't going to listen to me, unfortunately. I'm a man. What do I know about being a mom and all this? And, he would think that's kind of sexist to have that view, but still, you're not a woman. You don't know what it's like. So he said, how do I find women who can make this case? And your name came up.
Wow.
So he was talking about the work you're doing and how important that is to get women more desirable of marriage and family. And to be honest, he said, that can even be a problem for you to convince them. Because although you're a mom, you have a platform, right? And some people may look at you and go, well, Allie's not just a mom. She has a platform too, And so we didn't totally solve the issue, but your name was the name that came up. How do we get women to follow what Allie's talking about? And that was...
Wow. Well, Charlie...
36 hours later, he was dead.
Wow. Charlie was such a champion of so many of us, and I just feel, you've got to feel incredibly blessed to have those moments with him that so few people had. And I'm blessed that he just, would give me advice and say, I'm praying for you. Keep going. Gave me advice certainly before the Jubilee debate, and was so generous just like with his time and effort. And like, he just wasn't the kind of person that said, oh, what can I get out of this person? I'm only going to
That's right.
text the powerful. Because honestly, there were very few people who could give Charlie anything he didn't already have. He had the connections. He had the political capital. He had the relationships. He had the fame. He had the money. There weren't very many people who could do that. And he could have very easily said, who do I need? You know?
Right.
But he was so humble. People don't really, I feel like, appreciate that about him. He was just very humble and really sought the expertise and insight and wisdom of other people while championing them at the same time. He was just a very unique person.
He did. That's why I said at the memorial, you know, it could be hard to mentor somebody smarter than you, but not with Charlie Kirk, because the only thing that exceeded his intellect was his humility. You know, the few things that I knew that he didn't know, he wanted to know.
Yeah.
And one thing he said, I don't know, maybe a year ago, and I was very sensitive to this because I know people, especially like him in his position. He said, one of the problems is everybody wants something from you.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody wants something. That's why, and I know that. I know that when you get to that level, you don't really know who your friend is, or do they just want something from you? And so I made it my goal not to really ask him for anything, because I just wanted him to succeed.
Right.
In fact, I've been doing training, trying to train people to do what he does. It's so hard to find people, Allie. So hard. I said to him, I've been waiting for you for 30 years.
Yeah.
You know, there are very few people that can go to a college campus and answer questions, any question.
Oh, yeah.
And you can do it. Elisa Childers can do it. Natasha Crane can do it. A few others can do it. You know, people that have been in this a while, J. Warner Wallace, Greg Kokel, yeah, they can all do it. But finding young people, I mean, you're a blessing, Allie. You're anything I can do to help you.
Well, thank you.
So,
and you have, and you've helped. I mean, I know you know this, but maybe you don't think about this, but you have helped millions and millions and millions of people because of your mentorship of Charlie. And I know you will be humble and say, oh, I didn't teach him anything he didn't already know, but you did. And he would not, he was not someone who wasted his time. We all know that.
No.
And he would have never said, oh, I just spent all day with you. Let's go on a walk tonight. Unless he knew that what you had to offer him was so valuable and something he needed to give to millions and millions of people. And you won't even know until the other side of eternity when someone comes up to you and says, I know the gospel because of what you said to this person who said this to this person, and on and on.
That's right.
So
yeah, as you said, there's like 10,000 people that go into somebody's salvation.
Yeah.
And it's not just me and you and Charlie, Allie. It's everybody watching right now.
Exactly.
Because the people watching right now, you out there, you're going to reach people that Allie and I don't even know.
Yep.
You're going to reach them. So you don't have to change the world. You just need to change somebody's world. So do whatever you can to advance the cause of Christ, wherever that is, however that is.
Yeah. With just the couple minutes that we have left, can you, I mean, you were there when Charlie died. You were in the car after you knew that he had already gone to glory because you could see that his eyes were open. But as you said, they weren't, he was already seeing Jesus.
Yeah, they were fixed. Yeah.
Tell us how you're doing, because you have not stopped sharing the gospel, going on these college campuses, going in the Lion's Den. And you just lived through what I imagine was probably the most traumatizing moment of your life.
Yeah, everybody deals with it differently, Allie. But all the people that were there and all the people that knew Charlie will tell you the same thing. Grief comes in waves.
Yeah.
There are days you go, I don't know if I can go on. Not that I'm going to commit suicide. Don't get me wrong. I mean, just like
right. You don't want to get out of bed.
I don't know if I can do anything.
Yeah.
And another day you feel almost normal.
Yeah.
But it's still true. It's 2 months later. The last thing I think about when I go to bed is Charlie. The first thing I think about when I wake up is Charlie. And I normally wake up about 4 a.m. and lie there for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I have this condition known as 63, Allie. Maybe that's it. But it's
part of it. Yeah.
But you just work through it. You pray. You talk to people. But let's not forget, Allie. There's 50 Charlie Kirks murdered every day in Nigeria. I mean, this is
say that again.
Not to belittle what happened here, but we don't have the kind of religious freedom we have here. We don't have around the world, and Christians are dying all the time. It's almost normal.
Yeah.
So
Thank
we
you,
need
Frank.
to
Thank you.
we need to have some courage and move forward regardless of what happens.
Okay, can I ask you something
Yeah.
just to close this out? And I don't usually end my shows like this, but can you just like give us a prayer for all the Christians listening to just close out this episode?
Yeah, absolutely. Father, I thank you for Allie and her ministry and all the people listening and watching. And we're all here not to just build our own kingdom, but to build your kingdom. We know there are many distractions. We know there's sex, there's money, there's power, there's prestige, but all of it's going to be gone when we're gone. We're here to know you, not just intellectually. Even the demons know you exist, but personally. Give us opportunities to know you and to make you known. We can just take people in little steps, especially now around the holidays, just to ask them questions about life. Ask them questions about how they're doing. Ask them questions about, is there anything I can pray for you about? Ask them, what's life all about? Where do we go when we die? Just move people closer to you. Help us to do that. That's what Jesus wants us to do. It's what the apostles want us to do. It's what Charlie devoted his life to doing. Yeah, he's known for politics, but he said politics is peanuts compared to the gospel. It's important, but it's not the most important thing we do. His politics came from his theology, not the other way around, and help that to be the case with us as well. I pray you'd give the people listening and watching opportunities. If they don't know answers, have them go out and find answers. It's all over. There's so many places they could go to get answers. There's books, there's podcasts. There's, of course, the Bible itself. Help us to make a difference for you. Help us to keep this, what appears to be a revival, going. We thank you for giving us Charlie for the years that you gave us. Now help us to carry the torch after him. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Everyone needs to follow Dr. Frank Turek, his podcast, I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist. They can follow you on social media to see your tour and all of the amazing things you say. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Allie. Thanks for all you're doing. Friends,
You
go out
too.
and get toxic empathy. Make it happen.
Thank you.
Shout out. That was a good interview. Shout out to everybody who told me to watch that. That was a really good interview. That was super encouraging. I watched the first portion of it, but I had not watched all the way to the end. That was great, man. Thank y'all so much for that. I know that we have been on here for a good little minute. If y'all can hang in there, I got a commercial break for us. I think y'all will enjoy. I have a commercial break for us, and then I do want to watch the David Wood video that he did. I think that'll be a good way to close out tonight. So I think y'all will enjoy this one in light of we've had a great show. Shout out to April, stopped by. We've had some good content. So oh my gosh, how are you in my
Wait, so do you think the plot to try to kill Hitler was wrong?
I mean, it was definitely wrong. I mean, it wasn't very Christian. Certainly
you were right there in my mind. So shout out. Like, how did you know that? That's crazy. Okay, let's bring it in. Let's go.
Wait, so do you think the plot to try to kill Hitler was wrong?
I mean, it was definitely wrong. I mean, it wasn't very Christian. Certainly wasn't very Christian at all. Like, at all. I just think when you label people Nazis, you are putting a target on them. I mean, that's wrong. It's certainly wrong. That's a call for violence. You have to shoot them. And the fact that Churchill was constantly calling these people Nazis, who he said the British were fighting, I mean, that puts a target on their back, and it's disgusting, and I'm offended by that. I'm really offended by that. You're killing people, and killing people is wrong. Killing people is wrong. And calling them Nazis is just, it's horrible. It's disgusting. And I think in doing so, you're causing so much death, so much destruction. And I'm against that. I'm offended by that.
Yes, but these were the actual Nazis, self-proclaimed Nazis. That's what they called themselves. That's what we were fighting against. So what's the problem with calling them Nazis?
Yes, if you call someone a Nazi, you have to shoot them. You have to kill them. There's no choice.
You have to shoot them.
Yes.
But we're not calling Hitler a Nazi. He was a Nazi. He called himself a Nazi.
Exactly. I mean, Hitler called himself a Nazi, and what did he do?
What do you mean?
He killed himself. That's what happens.
Tucker.
Hitler called himself a Nazi. He put a target on his back and therefore had to kill himself. What is so confusing about this? I don't understand what's confusing about this at all, at all. And so I just thought that was wrong. I thought it was wrong to do that.
You think Hitler killed himself because he called himself a Nazi and then felt he had to kill himself?
Exactly.
So you're saying if someone's a Nazi, you have to shoot them?
Yes.
But you don't think the actual Nazis like Hitler should have been killed either?
Right.
So you think it's wrong to call people Nazis now because you'd have to shoot them, implying that they're evil, but you also don't think the real Nazis like Hitler should have been killed at all?
Right. Yes, it's evil. It's totally evil.
Tucker, this isn't making any sense. You're completely contradicting yourself.
Well, I mean...
Tucker? Oh my God, it's happening. My God.
Alright, he's here. He's here. We got him. Get the priest. Bring him in.
Our Father in heaven, release this man from this demon spell. Release him.
Release him. Release him.
Oh my gosh. Shout out to Ami Kozak. Man, I didn't see that one coming. I did not see that coming. Good gracious, man. That laugh is crazy. But, when you all introduced me, because you all introduced me to Ami, I didn't realize I had not paid attention to Tucker Carlson's mannerisms until they were shown to me in a comedic sense. Now I can't take him seriously. I don't know. I've never paid attention to stuff he does. And it never sunk in. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I just never paid attention to it like that. It always flew over my head. The laugh, the double speak, the contradictions, all that stuff just kind of went over my head until I saw Ami do it. And it just was so pronounced that I can't watch Tucker Carlson without expecting the laugh or expecting him to. It's craziness. So yeah, he is. His laugh is goofy, and I hate to say it, Ami just makes it so funny. Goodness gracious, man! Shout out to Ami Kozak. Okay, all right. So some people asked me to look at the David Woods video, and it's super short, so we won't be long. And I do appreciate y'all tapping in. Thank y'all to everybody who's streamed with us. I'm streaming it both vertically and horizontally. I'm working out some of the kinks because I don't think the vertical way really looks great. When you have a panel, though, it looks fantastic. But I don't think it looks fantastic yet. So we'll figure it out. But anyway, I'll just bring it in. And, if you like it or not, you can always jump over here to the regular vertical format. But I do want to bring in David Woods. Let's check it out, y'all.
This is a fake U.S. $100 bill.
There you go.
This is also a fake U.S. $100 bill.
Oh.
Which one is worse? You might think that this fake bill is worse than this fake bill because this one's more obviously fake. But wouldn't being more obviously fake make it better, not worse? Doesn't the fact that it's easier to spot as a fake and therefore less likely to deceive people make it better, not worse? In other words, what's worse about this fake bill? It does a worse job at looking like an authentic bill. But this one isn't supposed to look like an authentic bill. It's supposed to look fake. The color's all wrong. It has play money and not legal tender on the front and back. The purpose of this bill is not to trick anyone. The purpose is to teach kids how money works and what the different denominations are, or just for kids to play with. It's not made to deceive. This fake bill was made to trick people. Its purpose is to deceive you. And the interesting thing about counterfeits is that the more authentic they look, the more deceptive they are. The more authentic this fake bill looks, the more people it will deceive. Here's a related thought. The German philosopher Immanuel Kant said, "The only thing that's good without qualification is a good will." The only thing that's good without qualification is a good will. What does this mean? Well, there are all kinds of things that we typically think of as good, but they're actually bad if they're attached to an evil will. So they're not good without qualification. For instance, we would normally think of intelligence as a good thing. But what if this intelligence belongs to a serial killer? An intelligent serial killer who can use his intelligence to conceal his crimes and get away with killing more victims is worse and more dangerous than a dumb killer who makes mistakes and gets caught. Here's a list of the IQs of various serial killers and murderers. Not completely reliable numbers. Nathan Leopold at the top had his IQ tested by the military, and they used a weird test. Some of these are estimated, but the point remains. A lot of people who got away with serious crimes got away with those crimes because they were very intelligent. The world would have been a better place if these killers had been dumber. So, intelligence is ordinarily good, but it's not good without qualification, because it can be bad if it's used for evil. What about charisma, the ability to attract and influence people with charm and magnetism? Nick Fuentes has tons of charisma, charisma falling out of his pockets, and he's intelligent. His charisma helps him become more and more popular. But what's that charisma attached to?
I got you.
Hitler was a pedophile and kind of a pagan. It's like, well, he was also really fucking cool. So, time to grow up. Second semester, I got home in the spring and I was like, Mom, Dad, Hitler was awesome. Hitler was right. And the Holocaust didn't happen.
That is how those 6 million cookies come crumbling apart and go up the chimney at the cookie baking factory at the Chips Ahoy headquarters.
My favorite song is Heil Hitler. My favorite song is Gas Chambers. Hitler alone stood against the communists on one side, the communist Jews on the one side, the capitalist Jews on the other, literally a two-front war.
Dude, Hitler had aura. You know what I have to say about that? Hitler had aura. Aura. Riding down the street like this. And everybody's like, Polish people have this bad habit of hating Hitler, and we're going to stop dissing the Nazis all the time, okay?
So his charisma helps him win support for seriously evil ideas. The world would be a better place if people like Nick lacked charisma. Think about speaking ability or preaching ability, the ability to mesmerize crowds and make them think deeply about spiritual matters. More than 2 decades ago, I was driving down the road near campus with Nabil, and I played a tape of Ravi Zacharias for him. This was when Nabil was still a Muslim. He listened to Ravi for a few minutes and said, "This guy is the perfect communicator." But as we all found out much, much later, Ravi was using his abilities to lure in victims and to shield himself from scrutiny. His abilities helped him manipulate and deceive and abuse people. So those abilities were not good without qualification. What about Bible knowledge? Surely knowledge of the Bible is good. Imagine the ultimate Bible teacher, someone who knows the Old Testament and New Testament from memory, in Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. Suppose he knows every commentary that's ever been written, backwards and forwards. He knows what every rabbi and every church father said about every passage, and he can answer any question you have about any passage in the Bible. Sounds good, right? What if he uses that knowledge to start a cult with him at the center of the universe? No one would be able to correct or refute him because he would use his immense knowledge to justify anything he said or any behavior, no matter how depraved. Who could stand against him? Now for something everyone wants. Something that has to be good. Surely it's always good to have a following. Think about Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. Candace has one of the biggest podcasts on the planet, sometimes the biggest. But she comes across as a bit unhinged.
Every person who speaks about Israel has to basically say a statement that's like, I don't want to get killed. like literally, you start speaking about it, people are like, Candace, beef up your security. That's not fucking normal. Like, excuse my language, but like, that is not normal. Okay. The way that you get comfortable with it is you're like, well, they shot JFK in an open car. So there's not, he's a sitting president. Obviously my security doesn't really matter. If they want me, they're going to get me. I just want to be clear. Anything happens to me, blame the Zionists. Like 1000% blame the Zionists. Like let that be my parting words. Okay. Like Andrew Tate said something that really stuck with me. He was just like, at the end of the day, they're just going to rape your kids last.
Guess what? It's good that she comes across as a bit unhinged, because that's a warning sign to lots of people. Candace can still get a huge crowd watching because she's drawing viewers from the entire world. And there are tons of people in the world who are really into conspiracy theories. But people who aren't just dying to hear Candace's latest conspiracy theory have been walking away from the lunacy.
You don't get to ask those questions. What's wrong with you, Mom? Why are you so scared?
They're getting sick of it and losing interest. So Candace will lead a lot of people to some completely deranged ideas, but she would actually be more dangerous if she didn't come across as crazy to so many people. In other words, there are people who've stopped watching Candace. They say, I used to love Candace. I had to stop watching because she's so unhinged. But it's actually good that she's so unhinged, because if she wasn't, she'd be deceiving even more people. Her dangerous ideas would be harder to spot. This is why Tucker Carlson is actually more dangerous than Candace. Tucker still speaks at huge conservative events. Tucker spoke at Charlie Kirk's memorial.
And there's always one guy with the bright idea, and I can just hear him say, I've got an idea, why don't we just kill him? That'll shut him up. That'll fix the problem.
Why do we see Tucker at these events, but not Candace? Because Tucker seems less crazy. He's less crazy, so he's less of a risk and less of a threat. He's much safer, so he can speak at all the events. That's weird to me because I see things the exact opposite. The crazier someone is, the less dangerous he seems to me because he's easier to spot.
Good point.
I can't imagine Kanye doing too much damage because everyone knows Kanye is crazy. Tucker, by contrast, is going to lead a lot more conservatives and a lot more Christians down a horrible path because they trust him. He doesn't come at you screaming like a lunatic. He nudges. He slowly nudges day after day, week after week, until you're heading in a completely different direction and you can't even figure out how or why you changed course. There are endless examples here, but let's go with an easy one. In 2025, Tucker's been slowly convincing his followers that Islam is good and that Sharia isn't nearly as bad as its critics claim.
He's like, you know what Islam means? Submission. And like, let it hang in the air. Like that was self-evidently disgusting. And I was like, I kind of think submission to God is like the whole point of life, but I didn't say anything. I was like, I don't think I'm against that, actually. But you should know, Seth, that the real danger is Sharia law. Sharia law. And you can tell when you go to a place like Abu Dhabi or Riyadh, like, oh man, I hope we don't ever wind up with a society like this with a rape rate of 0, where you leave your keys in your Lamborghini and don't ever worry about it being stolen. And, you know, if people want to get wasted, they do it at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't.
Boy, I hope we don't wind up with that.
When people complain about the treatment of women and girls in Afghanistan, where little girls are being married off to much older men and girls can't go to school past the age of 12 so they don't learn to think, and women can't even speak or show their faces outside their homes, Tucker mocks the concerns.
The Taliban, we hear so much about the Taliban's oppression of women and making music illegal, and they do those things. However,
I never understood why I was supposed to give a shit about that. I mean, I want everyone to be free just as a matter of principle, but that didn't, whether people can, girls can get PhDs in feminist studies or whatever is of less concern to me, right?
Why should we care if women can't get PhDs in feminist studies? Is that what anyone was complaining about? Look, if you want to say, hey, it's not our country, we don't control the rest of the world, so let's stay out of it, that's one thing. But to pretend that what's going on with women and girls in Afghanistan is just a bunch of whining about not being able to get doctorates in gender studies, and to get conservatives and Christians to see the situation that way, that seems completely, utterly, totally evil to me. But conservatives and Christians will slowly warm up to Islamic law because Tucker is going to slowly, gently nudge them in that direction. He's going to deceive more people because he's much more careful about it. So, bad qualities attached to an evil will can actually be good in a weird way because they can help you spot the evil. Good qualities attached to an evil will are bad. All right. Have we learned anything yet? Let's find out. Pop quiz. If the devil comes up to you right now, what's he going to say? Is he going to say, A, hi, I'm the devil, and I want to bring you and everyone around you to hell? Or B, hi, I'm your greatest ally. You're very special to me. I want the best for you. So know that you can always trust me. Let's work together and change the world. Now, let me tell you who your real enemies are. What's the devil going to say?
Looks like a lot of B's going on.
The answer, obviously, is B. He'll claim to be your greatest ally. The goal of a counterfeiter isn't simply to make a fake bill. This is a fake bill. You can make one of these on your printer. The goal of a counterfeiter is to make a bill that looks and feels as much like an authentic bill as possible. And the more the counterfeit bill looks and feels like an authentic bill, the more deceptive it is. So don't be blinded by intelligence or knowledge or charisma or the number of followers someone has. Always look for the goodwill.
All right, shout out to David Woods. That was a very interesting video. The link to that is down in the description, by the way. So if you want to go back over and kind of, I like what he said, and it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. Okay, shout out to David Woods. I'm kind of processing that one as well. So I'll probably have something else to say about it. Maybe we'll watch that again. Not tonight though. But that was definitely helpful. Shout out to him for sure. Shout out to the best live chat on the planet. I appreciate y'all. I got one more of these great supers right here. Great show. Thank you so much, Hannah, with the $5 super says it's great show. Thank you. No, thank y'all. I really appreciate y'all for rocking with us and hanging out with us tonight. This was a long one, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Saturday night. We'll call it Saturday Night Live. Live from Atlanta. It's Saturday night. All right. But I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate y'all. It's been a long week, but I thank y'all so much for not only tapping into the nightly regular occurrence of the watch parties, but for checking out the rest of the content. I really do appreciate it. And thank you to everybody who sent me some suggestions on some other content creators. I'm putting that together in a list, and I'm going to upload it into my Substack. Thank you to everybody who's a part of the Pilgrim's Progress book read. I appreciate you all. We're going to be doing day 3 on this Tuesday coming up. And if you're interested in joining us in the book club or the book read, just go to the comment section. I'll make sure that the link is there for you as well. If you're wondering, I'm in the process right now of reading C.S. Lewis's book on grief. Erica Kirk mentioned it when she was on Jesse Waters' channel. Let me make sure it's a little clearer. A Grief Observed. It's really a good book. Thankfully, I don't have any grief that I need to tend to at the moment, but I just thought it would be a good book to read. And I was right. It's a great book. And so I'm reading that as well as getting ready to finish up our Pilgrim's Progress. And I will be doing, I'm just giving you a heads up. In January, our book discussion will be on the Screw Tape letters. So if you want to go ahead and cop yourself a copy of it, give you a heads up right now. That's what we're going to be reading, the Screw Tape letters in January. I'd love for y'all to join us on that. It has been a busy night, and Lady Dear World Christian is in the garage. I just heard her pull into the garage. I don't know where she's going or leaving. But thank you, Jalen, for the $5 super. No question, no comment, just pure love of the game. And I appreciate you for sure. Tomorrow is Sunday. It's the Lord's Day. And we'll probably do a live stream tomorrow and just hop in and just kind of chit chat. Maybe I'll do a Ask Me Anything or anything of that nature. So stay tuned for that. And Lord willing, on Monday, we'll get right back into it. I got some great videos planned for Monday. We'll do the watch party Monday afternoon. I think pretty much every day except Thursday coming up this week, I'll be able to do the watch party. If she does a show on Thursday, I'll have to do it like late Thursday night because I have some events Thursday. But we'll make sure that works out. Either way. Thank you. I'll make sure you know ahead of time at least. But everybody, thank you so much for the support. Moderators, thank you so much. I realize that streaming on these two platforms, the vertical and the horizontal, has brought in a lot more people. Shout out to all the new people. I appreciate it. All the new folk that have stopped in. And nonetheless, I appreciate you. So mods, thank you all for what you all are doing to keep everything moving in the right direction. I'm sure I'll be getting an email from y'all for the night's over with. But either way, thank y'all so much. Everyone, have a fantastic night. Have a blessed Lord's Day on tomorrow. And I'll see you all real soon. Everybody, grace and peace. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Jay Whip Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.